Day night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camila Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
And
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camila Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
I'm Bev Turner. Thank you for joining us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. More revelations, I'm afraid, from the latest tranche of the Epstein files.
Yes, it's prompted the Prime Minister to make a rare intervention in royal affairs and call for Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor to reveal everything he knows.
As a second Epstein victim comes forward with a claim that she spent a night with Andrew in Royal Lodge back in 2010.
Also in the programme, more Labour infighting as Angela Rayner allegedly secures £1 million, a fund for her campaign to kickstart Sir Keir, out of number 10.
Yeah, she doesn't want to kickstart him, I don't think.
No, indeed.
Donald Trump says Iran is in talks with his administration as the US continues to build up its military presence in the region.
We have a large armada, flotilla, you can call it whatever you want, heading toward Iran right now.
East Sussex residents are preparing to protest again today after the government began moving the first of almost 600 illegal male migrants into a former military site in Crowborough.
And protests are held in Braintree against migrants housed in a local RAF base after a resident shared shocking footage that he claims exposes how the accommodation site is leaving local residents feeling unsafe.
And as a woman admits she married Mr. OK rather than Mr. Right, we're asking, is it better to settle rather than hold out for true love? Don't miss that at 7:20.
And this will pull your heartstrings. Cases of abandoned animals soar as the RSPCA launches a desperate appeal.
Charity has now reported a 30% rise in neglect cases on the previous year, but they're still determined to help as many animals as they can.
A very good morning. Novak Djokovic will step on court at the Australian Open just over 2 hours from now, with world number one Carlos Alcaraz standing in the way of his historic quest for a 25th Grand Slam title. We'll be joined by the former tennis player Barry Cowan later this hour.
You were going to say Barry McGuigan.
After a wet January, there's further rain on the cards as we head into the new month. I'll have all of the details coming up shortly.
Well, it's just gone 6 o'clock. I'm Anne Diamond.
And I'm Mark White. This is GB News Breakfast.
It's funny how certain names trip off the tongue more easily than others.
It's word association gets you every time.
We did a lot with Barry McGuigan down the years as well.
Yes.
I watched this fight in 85, 40 years ago.
He was a legend.
Real character, yeah.
He was. I went to his house. He made me beans on toast once.
Beans on toast?
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Clearly a chef, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he is. He asked me about it. He saw me with my diabetes sort of injection. And he said, anything I can get you? And I felt embarrassed, but I thought, well...
Carbohydrates.
To eat. He said, what about beans on toast? I said, well, yeah, and there's this legendary champion just slaving over these beans on toast.
I know, isn't that wonderful?
While I was telling him some nonsense about my diabetes today.
Wow.
It's funny. Down in Faversham, Kent.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it was the day Ali died, and he was fantastic.
Oh, gosh.
On boxing.
Yeah.
And he was, well, obviously, as you'd expect, he was particularly brilliant on Muhammad Ali. He knew everything about his career, chapter and verse, and he was the ideal person to speak to.
Talking of legends, of course, a great legend, Djokovic, is hitting the court at what time?
8:30 our time, I believe.
Yeah. 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I think that he will be... Look, it doesn't matter how much experience you've had, no matter how many times you've been on the precipice of breaking a record, I think he'll be feeling different this morning, because I think this must be his last chance now.
Yes, and again, I can hear Jennifer Powers has joined us, a political commentator. We'll be talking in a minute about politics, but who are you rooting for then?
Oh, it's such a difficult one, isn't it? I'm such a tennis fan. I know you are as well, so I'm really looking forward to it. I think it will just be an amazing feat, an amazing match to behold. Don't you agree?
Yeah, without doubt, without doubt. I mean, I've seen Djokovic loads of times. I mean, his breakthrough year was 2011, but 3 years before that, there were signs he was going to be great. And he did have to disturb that duopoly of Federer and Nadal.
Yes.
And also, I'll tell you what's crucial today, Anne, is that I remember a guy called Juan Martín del Potro who won...
Yes, I remember the name.
In 2009. Now, he beat, I think it was Nadal in the semi-final, and everyone said, well, nobody beats Nadal and Federer on their way to winning a slam. He did beat Federer in the final. Djokovic, if he beats Alcaraz today, will become the first Grand Slam winner to have beaten both Alcaraz and Sinner on the way to winning. So that's history in itself.
And they're frankly, the top two favourites, weren't they?
The last 8 finals of Grand Slams.
I mean, normally I would be rooting for Alcaraz if Djokovic wasn't in it.
Absolutely.
But I'd love to see Djokovic get that record.
As a neutral, you've got to be really, I think, rooting for the old boy.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, even those who don't like him, if he wins today, that means he's gone.
Well, I wonder if would he ever retire, do you think? I mean, even if he won, would he retire?
I think, I guess I hope so, for his sake, because surely this has been what he's been after.
I mean, he has this fantastic tennis school, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
And everything. And he's only 38, is it?
38.
38. Yeah. Talking of retirement, it's quite something. OK, well, we've got lots to talk about today. We really have. There is an awful lot dominating the newspapers at the moment, and it's those Jeffrey Epstein, the dump of more data, more pictures, more questions to be answered. And
another one?
I know. And I know a lot of people are fed up hearing the words Jeffrey Epstein, but it is Well, it's almost, I was going to say getting ridiculous. It's more serious than that, obviously, isn't it? Because a second victim has claimed that she was sent by the convicted paedophile to London to spend a night with Andrew Mountbatten Windsor.
Well, the incident is alleged to have taken place at the Royal Lodge in 2010 when the woman was in her 20s.
The Prime Minister has now made a rare comment on royal affairs, if you can call them royal anymore, claiming that Andrew should be prepared to share everything he knows with US authorities. That's about as strong as I suppose Keir Starmer will get, saying he must go. Yeah. I don't think he will, though, will he? No.
Well, GB News political editor Christopher Hope has sent us this update from Tokyo.
Sir Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, has waded in to the row about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and the increasing evidence of the closeness of his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, the disgraced paedophile. 3 million documents released overnight in America. Some of those contain more evidence and photographs of Mountbatten Windsor's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. But the Prime Minister has been speaking to journalists en route from Beijing to Tokyo as part of his Far Eastern trip. He says this, that in terms of the request from Congress for Andrew to give evidence to congressmen and others on Capitol Hill, he says yes. In terms of testifying, the Prime Minister says, I have always said that anybody who has got information should be prepared to share that information in whatever form they are asked to do that. You can't be victim-centred, says the Prime Minister, if you're not prepared to do that. So further pressure on Andrew Mountbatten Windsor to go to Congress and say what he knew to people there investigating Jeffrey Epstein. Of course, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor denies all wrongdoing regarding Jeffrey Epstein. Christopher Hope in Tokyo for GB News.
Yes, Christopher Hope on the world stage there with Sir Keir Starmer. Meanwhile, there's trouble at home in all sorts of ways. The political commentator Jennifer Power joins us now. You've already met her this morning. These Epstein files, I know a lot of people watching right now say, I've heard enough, it's disgusting and horrible, but it is... I feel it's almost becoming politically important now, even more than before, because there's a suggestion in all of the emails that were dumped yesterday that Jeffrey Epstein was in cahoots with Putin.
Yeah, there's some extraordinary accusations in this morning's papers, which have been flowing around the internet for years, if not decades, but haven't made it into the broadsheets and the tabloids before this morning, at least to my memory. So, I mean, the king may have stripped Andrew of his grand royal titles, but he can't scrub away the indelible stain that his brother has made on his reign. I mean, these are starting to get quite sordid in terms of the financial and the international implications of these.
It's compromising pictures and very compromising emails between Jeffrey Epstein and world leaders, country leaders, billionaires, people who really are very influential in the West. And then you learn about Russian girls being flown to America or wherever. I mean, there's a very strong Russian link now.
Yes.
And that's what makes me wonder whether Epstein... I mean, a lot of people are saying, was he a spy?
Yeah. Well, there's been questions around his wealth for decades. How did he have hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds? It was never clear how he made that money, and so there have been these rumors around links with foreign. Perhaps foreign espionage or so on. But yes, the Russian link has become explicit. What before was mere rumors has now become explicit, and it's the juxtaposition of the little facts that are coming out from this cache of papers. The talk about Andrew being set up with a dinner date by Epstein of a Russian lady, and this was back in 2010, so fairly recent memory. That in and of itself is nothing untoward, although perhaps might raise a few eyebrows. Why is a then 50-year-old agreeing to a blind date with a 26-year-old Russian woman by his friend, who he has since said he didn't maintain relationships with after, the autumn of that year. So that in itself undermines the validity of what Andrew has told the public about his relationship with Epstein. So you have that bit, and then you have talk about the Microsoft billionaire and his relationship with
Bill Gates, of course.
Bill Gates with Russian women, and it all starts to come together into quite a complex sort of web of intrigue, where we are learning more. I mean, having said that, there are what, 3 million documents that were released?
Unbelievable amount.
So
of
you do wonder if they've obviously, the reporters and investigators have found some of the juiciest elements of those, but you do wonder if there's not more information buried in that 3 million that, if it came to light, would really give us a little bit more of a feel for what's really going on here.
OK, much to the relief, I'm sure, of our audience, can we move on to domestic political matters? And, well, the cat's away. The mice have been playing, it seems.
The mice are plotting.
They are, aren't they? £1 million fighting fund for Angela Rayner.
Well, yes, and the creation of the Office of Angela Rayner Limited, much in the tradition of former Prime Minister Tony Blair, who also established such an office through which to run any commercial earnings that he made and that she hopes to make. Also, I was interested to read in the papers that she's been signed up with Chartwell Speakers, which is one of the sort of premier speaking bureaus here in the UK.
And there were rumours that
globally.
she's writing a book.
And writing a memoir, which I actually think, lots of politicians, especially once they leave the stage, former prime ministers write the memoirs. And, I have to admit, despite being such a politico, I find them all usually quite boring. But I think a political memoir by Angela Rayner would be really fascinating, because she's had quite an amazing life.
Yes.
She grew up in some hardship. She's had quite a colourful personal life. And she's, had a good run with the unions. She's done a lot of the backstage politicking that goes on with the labour union movement.
And a lot of people thought that she was sort of, until recently, not mentioning the by-election, but she was sort of supportive of Andy Burnham. But a lot of people now in the Sunday papers are saying, actually, she never was. She was actually promoting herself.
Yes. Well, and you can, you can kind of expect it with Angela Rayner, can't you? Just from what we know about her personality, that she wouldn't have liked being positioned as sort of second fiddle to either Wes Streeting or Andy Burnham, which did happen in the press over the last few weeks when both of their names have been, front and centre in terms of.
So she'll need money, as you always do now, I suppose, to run successfully for office, to run a hard campaign. And apparently she is already building up quite a cash.
Yes, no, the rumours are that she's got not just the 80 supporters within the Parliamentary Labour Party that she would need in order to pursue her nomination as the party leader and hence Prime Minister, but also that she's really building this war chest. And I guess that makes a lot of sense if she is the tribune of the soft left, if she has the strong union backing, and quite frankly, she has a bit of a gravitas, a bit of. She has something about her, doesn't she? That she has that kind of star quality. So I'm not surprised to hear that there's money behind her campaign, but it might give boys a bit of a run for their money.
And just briefly, I mean, Andy Burnham's not been sitting on his hands either. We hear that he may be eyeing up another potential seat in Bootle this time.
Well, I mean, on one hand, I really, congratulate him on his perseverance and his tenacity in trying to find a seat. But, surely the same problem would present itself, which is he needs the NEC to approve.
Except that if he keeps trying and is constantly stopped, it starts to look very bad for Labour, generally, the government and Keir Starmer.
I don't know. Yes, no, he's determined not to miss out. I think especially hearing these rumours about Angela Rayner, he'll think, no, I want the opportunity to go up against it. If there's going to be a full-blown Labour leadership drama later this spring, which is looking increasingly likely.
It's certainly an ongoing potential drama, isn't it?
Thanks, Jennifer.
Yeah. Well, Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor has always denied all of the allegations against him. There is no suggestion that simply appearing in the documents or in the photographs, as they are at the moment, implies any wrongdoing, and many people who have featured in previous releases have denied any wrongdoing in relation to Jeffrey Epstein. I have to say that.
OK, moving on now. President Trump says Iran is talking to the US and has hinted at a possible deal to avoid the use of military strikes.
Let's try and find out what's going on from former Attorney General Sir Michael Ellis. A very good morning to you, Sir Michael. What do you think is going on? Can you explain what you think's happening at the moment?
Well, Anne and Mark, good morning. I think the situation remains extremely volatile in the region. There were some unconfirmed reports of several explosions in Iran yesterday. This could be nothing. They could be false reports or exaggerated reports, so they could be innocent. But they also could be field work or sabotage by Iranian dissidents striking at military assets in the home country. So there are a number of issues developing. One thing we do know that is confirmed, the American military assets are building up in the region to a considerable extent. The Arleigh Burke-class destroyer USS Roosevelt is in the eastern Mediterranean. The USS Black is in the Gulf of Aqaba near the Israeli port city of Eilat. The USS Abraham Lincoln, an enormous aircraft carrier, over 5,000 sailors on board, over 70 warplanes on board, carrying numerous missiles. It's a warship alone, a single warship that's more powerful in its military power than most countries are. So enormous military assets in the region, and Tomahawk cruise missiles also standing by. So what matters here now is whether President Trump decides to pull the trigger or whether the Iranians decide to come to the negotiating table. That's what's happening at the moment. President Trump made remarks yesterday, Anne and Mark, to indicate that the Iranians wanted to negotiate. Whether that's a stalling tactic, something the Iranians have done before, remains to be seen. But I think with President Trump, they're going to have to be pretty convincing because he now has the assets ready in the region to use if he wishes to do so. That being said, there's also more assets still on their way. The Armada, as he calls it, is still being built on. There are support and logistics aircraft also en route, including, we understand, to Diego Garcia, although that hasn't been confirmed. But I think the overall picture, Anne and Mark, is that the Iranian economy is absolutely in the doldrums at the moment. That's even an understatement. Their inflation is rampant. They have serious water shortages. To give you an idea, it's 1.5 million Iranian rials to a single United States dollar. So their currency has collapsed. So the internal ructions that we've been seeing in Iran that have resulted in the murderous and savage death of thousands, probably tens of thousands of Iranian dissidents, is something that the West is also keeping a close eye on, and something that President Trump said he's not going to tolerate.
And Michael, as we talk about the US build-up, we haven't even mentioned US nuclear attack submarines and, of course, the various bases around there, in addition to Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean. There's lots of assets available to President Trump should he decide to pull the trigger. I guess it depends on his patience here, because he will know, because we see it time and time again when it comes to the Iranian regime. They are expert in just stringing things out, pretending to be engaging, but not really coming up with anything at the end of the day. The one positive thing, I suppose, from President Trump's standpoint is clearly the regime has been weakened considerably by all of the inner turmoil in that country in recent months.
That's absolutely right, Mark. And this is probably, almost certainly, the weakest this terrorist sponsoring regime has been in the 47 years that it's been in existence. So I think this is an opportunity, as many see it, to deal a fatal blow to the theocrats that are in charge of that country, a country of over 93 million people, many of whom are desperate for the freedom that the removal of the Ayatollahs would bring them. But they, at the moment, it should be remembered, of course, that Iran has its own option. It's militarily able to strike back. Although the Americans are infinitely more powerful, Iran could do some damage in return. And as you say, Mark, there are considerable American assets in the region and land bases as well as naval assets. The Iranians have short-range ballistic missiles and medium-range ballistic missiles that could strike Israel. I think they'll do everything they can to strike Israel, their mortal enemy as they see it, and they've attempted that before. And of course, there's also the issue of US bases like the Al Udeid base in Qatar. Normally, over 10,000 military personnel from the United States are based there. And Iran could attack shipping in the Persian Gulf and in the Gulf of Oman. But I think one of the things we also have to watch out for, amongst many other issues, is Iran controls a lot of terrorist proxies in the region. There's the Houthis in the Yemen and Iranian assets in Iraq and in Lebanon. So they have been spending decades feeding these terrorist sponsors with billions of dollars worth of military equipment. And they could activate those proxies too. So the Americans are well aware that there are assets that the Iranians have that they could use against them. American might, however, is extremely powerful, and they are continuing to bring assets to the region.
Well, we live in volatile times indeed, don't we? Thank you so much for your breakdown of that. Sir Michael Ellis, former Attorney General.
Thank you, Michael.
Right, it's 6:22. Let's catch up with the weather now here in Britain.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your GB News weather update brought to you by the Met Office. Well, to start the new month, it's cloudy. We've got further spells of rain, but perhaps some brighter interludes coming in to the far west later. On the whole, though, it's a cloudy picture out there with outbreaks of rain. We just need to keep mind of some outbreaks of rain towards the southwest. That's giving us some uncertainty today. Otherwise, a band of rain across Northern Ireland will continue to push its way eastwards into northern parts of England, southern Scotland, into Wales, and eventually into the Midlands. Brighter and drier behind that across Northern Ireland with glimmers of sunshine across the far southwest of Wales and Devon and Cornwall. Otherwise, the temperatures will be around average for the time of year. Now, across Scotland this evening, we hold on to a good deal of cloud with outbreaks of rain, most persistent across Orkney and Shetland in that southeasterly breeze, but drier across Northern Ireland to end Sunday evening. Again, likewise across the far southwest of Wales and into Devon and Cornwall, but for the most part across England, especially across the southeast, we hold on to plenty of rain. So a damp end to the weekend here, further spells of rain just persisting, especially across Orkney and Shetland. Clearer skies across Northern Ireland and the far west. That'll allow temperatures to fall to give icy stretches, frost and perhaps some mist and fog. So a chilly start to Monday here. Elsewhere, temperatures still generally above freezing to start Monday morning. So as we go through Monday, well, it's again a messy picture out there. We've got further spells of rain, more so later on across the southwest, where a yellow Met Office rain warning does come into force. Otherwise, showers most persistent across northern England and especially towards the northeast. Again, falling wintry at higher levels, especially across the northeast of Scotland. Otherwise, temperatures around average.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. It's 6:28. Now, you're one who loves your pussycats at home. I loved my little Ellie when she was with me.
Yeah, this is going to make me very sad.
And this is going to make you a bit sad, because every year the RSPCA receives thousands of reports of cruelty towards animals.
Last year's figures skyrocketed, with neglect up by almost a third and abandonment by almost a fifth.
I don't know who would think of abandoning an animal just because they can't look after them anymore.
Yeah,
there are plenty of rescue centres to take them to. And nowadays, it is the absolute done thing, isn't it, to rescue a dog or a cat or a rabbit or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, our national reporter, Sophie Reaper, paid one of their centres a visit to find out more. Let me just give you a slight warning that this report may contain images that you, particularly if you're an animal lover, might find a little bit upsetting.
Good boy. Reggie is an 8-year-old Staffordshire Bull Terrier that we have in. He came to us with various health issues, including skin problems. He had ear and eye problems. So he did need a lot of care and attention. It's all about building trust with an animal so that they understand that what we're trying to do is help them long term. And he's come on leaps and bounds now. He's looking really good.
Reggie is just one of more than 73,000 cases of neglect reported to the RSPCA last year. The charity has now reported a 30% rise in neglect cases on the previous year, but they're still determined to help as many animals as they can.
I can't really describe it without getting emotional, really, because I'd hate to think where these animals would be without the RSPCA. There is so much neglect and cruelty, unfortunately, going on, and it's because of our centres that these animals get a second chance.
Across the UK, RSPCA centres are working on the front line every single day. And yet, despite this, cases of abandonment are currently at a 5-year high.
We're looking at a 19% increase in 2025, which is unbelievable. Here at our animal centre, we receive a call roughly every 4 minutes about somebody wanting to give up their pet. They can't afford it, they are being removed from their housing, they can't afford the vet's bills, etc. Very challenging times we're living in.
Whether it's a dog, a cat, a rabbit, or one of the many other species rescued daily by the RSPCA, this winter, the charity is running a campaign dubbed the Big Give Back to Animals. They want people to support rescues as much as possible, whether that be with donations, adoptions, or simply by raising awareness.
We currently have a case of 6 puppies in at the moment, and they came from a puppy mill. Absolutely shocking conditions they were taken from. Their mum is a puppy herself. She's only a year old and she's already had a litter. So when you're looking at choosing an animal to be part of your family, this is a lifelong commitment for your family. Please think about where you're choosing your animal to come from. Give an animal a second chance, and please do think about adopting. Please do not shop.
Animals like Reggie are living proof of the amazing work the RSPCA does every single day. But as animal cruelty continues to rise, they need as much help and support as they can get. Sophie Reaper, GB News.
Well, that really does pull at your heartstrings, doesn't it? I mean, there's absolutely no excuse for cruelty or even abandonment. There are better ways, aren't there? But if, anyway, as I said, it's becoming more and more not acceptable. It is the done thing now. If you're thinking of an animal, go along to one of the rescue centres.
Yeah. And if you've actually taken in a rescued animal, cat, dog, whatever that animal might be, if you've got any pictures,
we'd love to see them.
To us.
Yeah.
We'd love to.
It's the old-fashioned way to do it. If you're uploading a picture, then to send to us, and make sure you tell us your name and theirs. It's gbviews@gbnews.com. gbviews@gbnews.com, and we'll watch out for your photographs. We could show everybody them later. It's a good way of reminding everybody that if you need an animal companion, you don't have to go to a pet shop to buy one or whatever. You can give a much-loved, or even an abused animal, a much-loved home.
OK, time now for our daily reflection.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hi, I'm Chris Tufnell, a vicar in the Church of England. Several years ago, I ran a half marathon. You'll have seen the sort of thing. Thousands of people taking over the streets, jogging along with numbers on their shirts. But what drives people to do that? One person might be running just to prove to themselves that they can do it. Another person to make a parent proud. Someone else because they're competitive and want to beat another person's time. Or perhaps for the prize and the applause at the end. We might ask the same question of ourselves when it comes to the race of life. What are we running for? For a sense of achievement? A sense of worth? For the esteem of others, perhaps? As I reflect on my own life, I think I've often been running to try to prove something about myself, to myself and others. But it's an exhausting way to live. I believe Jesus gives me a better reason to live. He ran the perfect race, lived the perfect life, and by giving his life on the cross, he's won for me the prize of forgiveness and eternal life with him. And now he says, run for me. And so I no longer run to make myself worth something. I run for the enduring honor of him who loved me and gave himself for me.
Well, still to come, Djokovic takes on Alcaraz this morning, a bit later on, in his bid to win the 25th Grand Slam title he has so wanted for so long. That's coming up in the sports with Aidan in a couple of moments.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
Two Englishmen, brilliant landscape painters, John Constable and J.M.W. Turner, were both born at about the same time 250 years ago. They were rivals, although they developed very different styles and painted very different subjects. We think of Constable repeatedly depicting his native Suffolk with great realism, while Turner toured Europe, producing pictures with this wild light that pointed to painting of the future. Here at Tate Britain, we can contrast the artistic journeys that they made. Amy, what made you want to bring together Turner and Constable in an exhibition?
Well, this year is Constable's 250th anniversary. The exhibition began in 2025 when it was Turner's 250th anniversary. And thinking about these big moments for these two most famous, most beloved of British artists. There hadn't been an exhibition of this scale to look at their careers side by side before, and given that they were born just a year apart, it seemed a really good opportunity to look at these two very different artists and really, explore what made them tick, the ways in which they were similar, but also the ways in which they were, as we know, very different. The Constable's family were also, knee-deep in commerce, but out in the countryside. Constable famously was a country boy from Suffolk. The River Stour was his home landscape, and that was also the place where his father's business was based, the basis for Golding Constable's grain milling and shipping business.
GB News, the People's Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Right, we've got lots of people already getting in touch, pointing out that it's quite difficult sometimes to satisfy the RSPCA or people who run other rescue centres because they are very, very picky about where they will place a rescue animal. And that's reasonable enough, isn't it, I suppose?
Yeah, you can understand that, because if a pet has been abandoned by people who have not looked after that pet properly, then they want to make sure they get it right second time round.
Yeah, absolutely. Should we talk about our great British giveaway now? It's your chance to get summer sorted with a luxury £10,000 holiday for two, and on top of that, 30 grand in tax-free cash. Here are all the details you will need.
This year, the adventure of a lifetime could be on us. Courtesy of Riviera Travel, there's a terrific £10,000 holiday for two to be won. You could be here exploring the magic of Egypt on a Nile River cruise. Or choose from over 30 worldwide destinations like Thailand, South Africa, New Zealand or even Sri Lanka. And because they have over 40 years experience with handcrafted tours, you'll be safe in the knowledge that every step of the journey will be planned with you in mind. We'll also boost your bank account with a fabulous £30,000 in tax-free cash, which you'll be able to spend however you like this year. So what are you waiting for?
For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB19, PO Box 8690, Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 27th of February. The winner may be contacted live after all entry routes have closed. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck with that. It's 20-7 already. Aidan's joined us. Big day in tennis.
Absolutely, but without further ado, I'm going to bring in a man who knows his way around a court and a man who actually took Pete Sampras to 5 sets all the way back in 2001 at Wimbledon. Barry Cowan, very good morning to you. Big question ahead of the Australian Open this morning, Barry. Can Novak do it?
Yeah, good morning, Aidan. Absolutely. Certainly the way he played the other day, I thought it was nothing short of astonishing and actually one of the greatest achievements for Djokovic, given 38 years of age, given who he was up against. And since Sinner and Alcaraz have emerged in the last couple of years, don't forget that they have shared the last 8 Grand Slams. Novak's been on the other end of Sinner at the other end of the court, and Sinner basically has hit the ball harder and has hit the ball even more aggressively than prime Djokovic. So what Djokovic did on Friday was play tennis that I haven't seen before, Aidan. He's almost reinvented himself. I guess the big question, if he can play the same level as he did on Friday, absolutely he can win. But the big question, can he recover after his match 2 days ago? And obviously, rightly so, people will ask the same question about Alcaraz. But Alcaraz is that much younger. So I think that's why I'm just slightly leaning towards Alcaraz, purely for the fact, as great a champion as Djokovic is, to do it twice in a few days would be nothing short of remarkable.
And at the other side of the net, of course, Barry, you mentioned Alcaraz there. Huge incentive for him as well, because he could become the youngest player to do the career Grand Slam.
Yeah, and only the 6th player in the Open era to achieve that, alongside the greats of our sport, obviously with Djokovic, Nadal and Federer being 3 of those. And we sort of look at keys to potentially being decisive. Alcaraz has won 15 of his 16 5-set matches in his career. Again, an incredible statistic. And for Alcaraz, he had his incredible journey against Zverev. I mean, it was looking very likely at one stage that he was going to pull out. He was suffering cramps up 2 sets to love and deep in the third, but he found that extra edge, that extra belief, that extra will. And that's why I think we're in awe when we watch, those long 5-set matches, the ebbs and flows. And I'm sure we'll be seeing another classic. I was going to say in a couple of hours' time, but it might be well into the afternoon.
Look, Barry, we all need a bit of luck in life, don't we? Not least the great champions of any sport. But Djokovic seems to have the stars aligning in his favour, doesn't he? I mean, Lorenzo Musetti was injured when he played him. Jakub Mensik gave him a bye through to the next round. There was issue with the ball kid as well, which spared him disqualification when he hit an errant ball. Do you think just the stars are maybe aligning for him? Could that have a bearing on the day?
Well, believe it or not, I'm one of those people. I often feel sometimes it's your sort of destiny. Yeah, I mean, very possible. I mean, he was down and out against Musetti. I was watching that match, and Djokovic was really, really struggling. But your kind of your heart says that potentially my head does point towards Carlos. But I mean, what I will be honest with, at the start of the year, talking about Djokovic, could Novak win a 25th Grand Slam? And I look at last year, I mean, he's still the 3rd best player in the world for me. He reached the four semi-finals, but against the really big players, I felt he was just lacking something. But I did feel, and he showed that in the Olympic final a couple of years ago against Alcaraz, I did feel he had a chance to beat Alcaraz. I didn't think he could beat Sinner in a big match. And I think it even surprised himself, and he talked about that straight after the match. I don't think he could quite believe the level that he was able to play. And another question that's been asked of Novak in the last year or so is, why are you playing Novak? Well, he's playing, I don't necessarily believe, to try and win a 25th. He's playing for experiences like he had on Friday evening.
I'm going to have to stop you there just for now because we've run out of time. But thanks very much indeed for joining us this morning. We hope it's going to be an epic final.
Oh, yeah.
Winner on the women's section as well yesterday, Elena Rybakina, beating Aryna Sabalenka.
Yeah, lovely to hear Barry there. He really knows his stuff,
he does.
doesn't he? Right, do stay with us. Still to come, will the BBC force people to pay the licence fee to listen to the radio and use the website?
Yes, you can find out that and more coming up with Emma Wolfe and Duncan Barks.
First of all, though, if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast for the top European destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello. Well, we have a south-shifted jet stream that's just bringing areas of low pressure across Europe, so it is unsettled. We've got spells of rain, more so across Portugal and into Spain and into France. Across the Mediterranean, we are also seeing some heavy spells of rain and thunderstorms, but also some strong winds, so expect some rough seas here. Otherwise, there's going to be further showers on the cars. There will be some brightness in between, though.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
I'm Michelle Dewberry. This is Jubes & Co with you until 7.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camila Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camila Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
No, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello again, let's go through the papers now with Duncan Barks and Emma Wolfe, and we'll talk about this, what we were talking about just before the break. Could the BBC charge you to listen to the radio as you're cooking in the kitchen? Duncan, this is a move?
Potentially. We used to have a radio licence. The BBC used to have a radio licence and got rid of it in the early 1970s. So all of this is coming about because the BBC Charter is up for renewal in 2027. The government have issued a paper basically saying we need to be looking at options about how you go forward in terms of funding. And I think that the BBC is reaching a fork in the road now because there are generations, certainly under me, my daughter, for example, who's in her early 20s, she grew up with the idea of you choose, you have a subscription, right? So it's YouTube or it's Netflix or whatever. The idea you have a licence fee to generations beneath mine is just increasingly alien. I worked for the BBC for 6 years, so I've got a little bit of skin in the game. I'm a fan of public service broadcasting to a degree. I think it should do stuff that the commercial sector won't do because it can't make money out of it. Nothing wrong with that. You know, there's a clue in the title. However, I think the BBC does need a radical overhaul because I think in certain areas of it, and I've seen it firsthand, it can be overstaffed, whereas, you know, in the commercial sector, it'll take a couple of people plus maybe half another person to get out a radio programme or whatever. The BBC will have 7 or 8 people. So there is a way of saving money. I also think the BBC have misjudged the mood of the nation in some ways. I mean, my mum's generation, the BBC was just this great institution. Again, generations coming through, I don't think have that particular assessment of the BBC.
Do they deserve that reputation anymore, Emma?
Well, I was fascinated to find out that the licence fee was £2 when it was first launched, when the licence fee model was set up in 1946. It was just astonishing, isn't it? It's now 174, something like that.
Yeah, 175.
Look, I think, like Duncan says, it needs a radical overhaul. There are lots of things the BBC does really well, and it's a British institution, isn't it? One feels proud. I feel proud if I, ever go into Broadcasting House. It's something to be proud of, but I think it's in a mess, and I think it obviously desperately needs money, but I also see a huge amount of wastage. Some top-name presenters, and I won't name them, being paid vastly inflated salaries because otherwise they'll go elsewhere. Not true. Not, those rates aren't out there. So I think there's a huge amount of wastage. I also think that it's very, very confusing, the licence fee thing. If you actually look into... It needs to be clearer. It needs to be clearer. So if you watch anything on iPlayer, so you don't even have to be watching the BBC, but if you watch anything on iPlayer or live streaming, then you have to pay it. There are other things where it's included, but it's not included. So a lot of people just say, well, I won't pay it at all. I mean, lots of young people just don't pay it at all.
Yeah.
Watch on their laptops, watch on their tablets, whatever.
I think there's a couple of other issues there. I mean, you're right. The BBC is a great British institution, but it's fair to say its reputation over the last few years has taken a bit of a battering, particularly with some of the reporting of Middle Eastern issues, etc., etc. So that is part of this, because people's faith, maybe, in the BBC is not what it was. But also there's something interesting in this Sunday Times piece, because you may recall the World Service used to be funded by the government, and then back in the early 2010s, when George Osborne was Chancellor, he made the BBC take on the funding of the World Service. And this piece in the Sunday Times is saying it costs about 220 million quid a year to run the World Service. BBC management are saying, well, look, actually, maybe you could help us here by actually funding the World Service again from government spending, not from the licence fee. And I'm a big fan of that, because I think the World Service is quite an interesting soft power tool around the world.
Absolutely, no, I agree with that. Emma, shall we move on to the issue over benefits? 6 million people finding it cheaper, obviously, to stay on benefits.
Millions of workers could be potentially millions of jobs, which you would basically do better off just claiming benefits rather than paying your taxes after sort of net tax. So this is Ian Duncan Smith, who, as we know, has done lots and lots on welfare reform over the past few years, over the past decade. And his Centre for Social Justice is launching this really interesting report called Welfare 2030. Once again, looking into welfare reform, which, as we know, Starmer has recently fritzed from. I'm going to use that word again.
Done another U-turn.
Another frit. He's, another U-turn, because he basically can't take on his own MPs on this one. But IDS is Ian Duncan Smith, and this report is pointing out we're in a terrible, terrible state economically, this country, in terms of workers, in terms of people basically being better off not working after paying their taxes. There's a really stark sort of subhead here. The UK is in danger of becoming a welfare state attached to a bankrupt country.
Oh, that sounds terrible, doesn't it?
To say that of the United Kingdom, where we used to make things, people used to work, people used to get up every day, put on a suit, put on their uniform and go to work. And it's so sad. And that is the young people coming straight out of school and college. Sorry, I think we've...
I think we have time for a reaction, Duncan, I'm afraid.
No, I'm afraid not, but we'll talk more about that a bit later on. And if you've got a view, let us know. Here's the weather.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your GB News weather update, brought to you by the Met Office. Well, to start the new month, it's cloudy. We've got further spells of rain, but perhaps some brighter interludes coming in to the far west later. On the whole, though, it's a cloudy picture out there with outbreaks of rain. We just need to keep mind of some outbreaks of rain towards the southwest. That's giving us some uncertainty today. Otherwise, a band of rain across Northern Ireland will continue to push its way eastwards into northern parts of England, southern Scotland, into Wales, and eventually into the Midlands. Brighter and drier behind that across Northern Ireland, with glimmers of sunshine across the far southwest of Wales and Devon and Cornwall. Otherwise, the temperatures will be around average for the time of year. Now, across Scotland this evening, we hold on to a good deal of cloud with outbreaks of rain, most persistent across Orkney and Shetland in that southeasterly breeze, but drier across Northern Ireland to end Sunday evening. Again, likewise across the far southwest of Wales and into Devon and Cornwall, but for the most part across England, especially across the southeast, we hold on to plenty of rain. So a damp end to the weekend here, further spells of rain just persisting, especially across Orkney and Shetland. Clearer skies across Northern Ireland and the far west. That allowed temperatures to fall to give icy stretches, frost and perhaps some mist and fog. So a chilly start to Monday here. Elsewhere, temperatures still generally above freezing to start Monday morning. So as we go through Monday, well, it's again a messy picture out there. We've got further spells of rain, more so later on across the southwest, where a yellow Met Office rain warning does come into force. Otherwise, showers most persistent across northern England and especially towards the northeast. Again, falling wintry at higher levels, especially across the northeast of Scotland. Otherwise, temperatures around average.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
This year, the adventure of a lifetime could be on us. Courtesy of Riviera Travel, there's a terrific £10,000 holiday for two to be won. Choose from over 30 worldwide destinations like Thailand, South Africa, New Zealand or even Sri Lanka. We'll also boost your bank account with a fabulous £30,000 in tax-free cash.
For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB19 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 27th of February. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dame.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Good morning. The former Deputy Prime Minister, Angela Rayner, is said to be on manoeuvres.
That's as reports suggest she's secured £1 million backing to fight for the keys to number 10.
With rumours that Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham and Health Secretary Wes Streeting also are on manoeuvres, they've got their eyes set on the prize, you have to ask, is the Prime Minister becoming a bit irrelevant?
Also in the programme, a second Epstein victim comes forward with a claim she spent a night with Andrew Mountbatten Windsor in Royal Lodge back in 2010. As the Prime Minister insists the former Prince reveals everything he knows about Epstein.
East Sussex residents are preparing to protest again today after the government began moving the first of almost 600 illegal male migrants into the former military site in Crowborough.
And protests are held in Braintree against migrants housed in a local RAF base after residents shared shocking footage that he claims exposes how the accommodation site is leaving residents feeling unsafe.
And here's a fascinating one. As a woman admits that she married Mr. OK rather than Mr. Right, we're asking, is it better to settle rather than hold out for true love? That'll be an interesting one at 7:20.
Now, cases of abandoned animals soar as the RSPCA launches a desperate appeal.
The charity has now reported a 30% rise in neglect cases on the previous year, but they're still determined to help as many animals as they can.
Novak Djokovic will step on court at the Australian Open today, with world number one Carlos Alcaraz standing in the way of his historic quest for a 25th Grand Slam title. In the Premier League, the onus is on Manchester City to win at Spurs today after Arsenal restored their lead at the top to 7 points.
After a wet January, there's further rain on the cards as we head into the new month. I'll have all of the details coming up shortly.
Well, it's just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Anne Diamond.
And I'm Mark White. This is GB News Breakfast.
Well, in amongst all the bad news and the political news and all the machinations going on, the RSPCA have launched that appeal, as we're saying, because apparently there are so many abandoned pets and animals that have been cruelly treated, which is unbelievable, really, but prevalent. So we thought, right, we'll cheer everybody up by asking for your pet pictures this morning. Lots of you have been getting in touch. Chris and Stacey from Wigan sent this. This is Socks. Aww. She was a stray that we took in. Turns out she's a boy. Oh, dear. All right, well, whatever.
And here's another one. This is our lovely rescue dog, Sabre. Oh, me darling. Our Newfoundland with his teddy Karen, who's watching from Spain, has sent us this.
Oh, this is another one, then. This is our 4 rescues. So that's Betsy, Rusty, Bella and Jerry. Well done. That's beautiful. A handful.
And Clive has sent in this. This is Morris, our rescue tuxedo cat. Is now fully in charge of the house.
I like the name Morris as well. That's a very posh name, isn't it? Tuxedo cat.
Well, to go with his tuxedo, yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, that's where it's just nice to share pictures sometimes, isn't it? So if you've got a picture of a much-loved animal or perhaps particularly a rescue animal, maybe, then do let us know. Yeah. Your name and theirs, and we'll try and put it up for you. Cheer us all up.
Now, our top story, Labour infighting is heating up, with the former Deputy Prime Minister, Angela Rayner, allegedly securing £1 million backing in her bid to oust Sir Keir Starmer.
That's quite a treasure chest, isn't it? The former Deputy Leader was forced to resign, of course, if you remember, from the Cabinet 5 months ago over her underpayment of stamp duty when she bought her flat on the seaside. Allies now say, though, she is ready to step back into the big time.
Well, political commentator Jennifer Powers joins us now. Jennifer.
Good morning.
Well, as says, when Sir Keir Starmer's away, all the little plotters play.
Yes. No, there's a great picture this morning in The Sun of Angela Rayner going for a bracing outdoor walk with her boyfriend Sam Terry, and one can only imagine their plotting of her not just return to the cabinet, but potentially there will be renting a new moving truck, this time not from her home in the northwest down to their flat in Brighton, but this time a moving truck perhaps to number 10.
Yeah, I
or
mean,
so they would hope.
That's the picture that you are describing. It's there in a number of the papers, and that's in The Sun on Sunday. And, hang on, we can't see it yet. And a picture like that isn't just snapped by accident, is it? So, I mean, that is, again, Angela Rayner on manoeuvres.
She is on manoeuvres. It's quite extraordinary to read a whole range of machinations that are going on behind the scenes. We have her. We have her on the Speaker Bureau, where she's hoping to get some well-paid speeches that could add to her war chest with Chartwell speakers. We hear about this memoir that she may be writing, which I think will be absolutely fascinating to read.
And she set up a company specially to deal with these
the
earnings.
Office of Angela Rayner Limited, very much in the image of Tony Blair's office that he set up many, many years ago now. So, yeah, very much looking to raise money for her campaign to become Prime Minister. And, you know, I almost feel a bit sorry for the boys, because I just think if Angela Rayner goes for this, which all the signs are that she very much has her mind on number 10, I just think it's going to be very hard to stop her. I think she just has a bit of that star power that...
Yeah, she's got something that the fellas haven't got, hasn't she? I don't know, there's a bit of oomph about her.
I don't know if we're just biased because we're kind of redheads. But yeah, she's got something about her.
Well, it maybe just feels a bit more authentic than the sort of chattering classes from Islington.
Because she's got a big personality, and she doesn't seem to feel the need to hide it. There's that photo, I don't know if your viewers will remember, of her vaping on an inflatable. Right. And a lot of the newspapers and websites and things kept putting it up because it, you know, it was sort of...
Because they thought it was unflattering.
They thought it was unflattering.
But frankly, what she was saying to the world was, I don't care.
Well, she was just, you know, she vaped. She was, I presume, a former smoker, and she was vaping, and... You know, it was like, this is me. So I think that's very attractive in this day and age. Now, it's not to say that there won't be, you know, quite a few people putting their names forward.
But this is awful for Keir Starmer, isn't it?
It is. It totally is. I mean, I just think
he's out playing world politician at the moment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, look, there's the picture. Yeah, still there. Yes, and she is saying, "I'm me." Now she's saying, I'm me, vote for me.
Well, to your point, though, Mark, about the mice playing while the Prime Minister's away, I mean, to your point, Anne, my goodness, I mean, he is in office, but not in power. I mean, this is someone we barely talk about. We talk about the runners and riders. We talk about how much money they're managing to squirrel away for their campaign. We're talking about how many MPs they have in the Commons that are willing to back their bid. I mean, he's almost a placeholder. He's almost an interim Prime Minister until after the May elections, when we're going to have this.
Yeah, but I think the difficulty is, Jennifer, even after the May election, everybody's saying that this will be the point, you know, when no one can resist a move finally on Sir Keir with disastrous results projected. But it's so difficult to remove a sitting Labour leader.
It is. You know, historically, it's not something the Labour Party has done, but I just feel we're in a different era now. It is possible within the rules to change a leader, and I feel that, you know, when you're under 20% in the opinion polls, that's a disastrous place for any Prime Minister to be a year and a half into
all three possible contenders, Angela Rayner, Andy Burnham and Wes Streeting, all claim to have huge support from the backbenches.
They do, and one doesn't know. I mean, I'm sure there are spreadsheets there with names. One doesn't know how many names turn up on one, two, or all three of those spreadsheets. There may be others who put their name forward. I mean, we'll have, I suppose, four or five more months of this speculation before we find out.
Oh,
so
it's
lots of
exciting, Jennifer. It's exciting.
Lots of opportunity to discuss. But yeah, Keir Starmer's coming back from Japan, and so we'll hear what he has to say this week.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe he won't address it at all. However, a spokesman for Angela Rayner has said Angela has formed a company to provide staff support for her public activities, in line with precedent and with approval from the relevant authorities.
Well, let's move on now to the latest revelations in the Jeffrey Epstein files. More revelations out again today, including another alleged victim who's come forward claiming that they spent a night with Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Well, we're joined now by the US lawyer Carol Kilgore. Carol, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Anything in these latest revelations that take us any further forward? I mean, we know you know, about the closeness of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. We know, of course, about allegations of that he denies, we should say, relationships with women supplied by Jeffrey Epstein.
I mean, in part, it depends on where the victim is located and where the crime occurred. So potentially, if former Prince Andrew, if there was enough evidence from this victim and others to start criminal proceedings in the USA, that could definitely be something that he has to respond to. I mean, the Prime Minister has already asked that he come clean and admit. I mean, we're all remembering the interview with Emily Maitlis, and it seems that some of the revelations from the files that were released this weekend show that actually he was fibbing in that interview.
He would deny that, of course, and has continually.
There's just so much that's going to come out of these files, and 50% of the files were already redacted. However, it's a bit strange that many of the victims' identities have not been redacted, unfortunately.
And there are a lot of people saying, and former victims saying, there's an awful lot more to come out yet.
Correct, and it's really strange when you look back on the Virginia Guthrie scenario where it was reported that she signed a confidentiality and was sort of paid off. Her silence was bought. And then she mysteriously died in a car accident, was it? It makes you wonder, I mean, if you're prone to conspiracy theories, what other, what have we just scratched the surface as to the wrongdoing of
Well, it seems that, I mean, people are almost getting bored of it. Not that you must always remember those who were victims of being trafficked in some way to men, particularly men who were very influential and in some cases powerful in certainly the Western world.
Indeed.
And the implication that Epstein might have been in on it with Putin. I mean, Russia is involved somewhere here.
It appears that, and I know it's just speculation, of course, that these poor women were used as chips, as playthings to manipulate the men in the quarters of power.
To gather compromat, basically.
That's what it looks like.
It's what it feels like, and that's why you just think, if they say there's so much more to come out, you just wonder what next. Thank you very much. Let me just actually remind everybody, Virginia Giuffre was injured badly in a car accident, but she took her own life later on. Now, of course, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, I have to read this out, has always denied all of the allegations against him, and there is no suggestion that appearing in the documents or even in the photographs, implies any wrongdoing. And many people who have featured in previous releases have denied any wrongdoing in relation to Jeffrey Epstein.
OK, I think time now for the weather forecast.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your GB News weather update brought to you by the Met Office. Well, to start the new month, it's cloudy. We've got further spells of rain, but perhaps some brighter interludes coming in to the far west later. On the whole, though, it's a cloudy picture out there with outbreaks of rain. We just need to keep mind of some outbreaks of rain towards the southwest. That's giving us some uncertainty today. Otherwise, a band of rain across Northern Ireland will continue to push its way eastwards into northern parts of England, southern Scotland, into Wales, and eventually potentially into the Midlands. Brighter and drier behind that across Northern Ireland, with glimmers of sunshine across the far southwest of Wales and Devon and Cornwall. Otherwise, the temperatures will be around average for the time of year. Now, across Scotland this evening, we hold on to a good deal of cloud with outbreaks of rain, most persistent across Orkney and Shetland in that southeasterly breeze, but drier across Northern Ireland to end Sunday evening. Again, likewise across the far southwest of Wales and into Devon and Cornwall, but for the most part across England, especially across the southeast, we hold on to plenty of rain. So a damp end to the weekend here, further spells of rain just persisting, especially across Orkney and Shetland. Clearer skies across Northern Ireland and the far west. That'll allow temperatures to fall to give icy stretches, frost and perhaps some mist and fog. So a chilly start to Monday here. Elsewhere, temperatures still generally above freezing to start Monday morning. So as we go through Monday, well, it's again a messy picture out there. We've got further spells of rain, more so later on across the southwest, where a yellow Met Office rain warning does come into force. Otherwise, showers most persistent across northern England and especially towards the northeast. Again, falling wintry at higher levels, especially across the northeast of Scotland. Otherwise, temperatures around average.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Well, still to come in the news, there's this story of a woman who's admitting that she married Mr. OK rather than Mr. Right. So we're debating next, is it OK to settle rather than hold out for true love?
Bowl. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it. Don't get us on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things up the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Was William Shakespeare a black Jewish woman? Well, that's what a sensational, to say the least, new book is claiming. Author Irene Coslet argues that centuries of Western-centric ideology has hidden the true authorship of the Shakespearean canon and points to Emilio Bassano, a poet with Tudor court connections, as the real writer behind the plays. According to the theory, a woman of North African origin used the pen name Shakespeare only for her work to be stolen by an uneducated man from Stratford-upon-Avon. So tonight, I'm asking, is British history being rewritten or even erased in the name of modern identity politics? I'm now delighted to be joined for the first time on the show, founder of the YouTube channel History Revealed, Joel. Thanks for joining me, Joel. And activist Iman Aiton. Thank you very much for joining me, both of you. Iman, I'll start with you and then I'll let Joel respond directly to your statement. Do you think British history is being erased?
Well, no, but let me just be clear. I think we've been manipulated by a very hot article from Telegraph. It basically led us all to believe that this woman, who is technically supposed to be erasing Shakespeare because she was the original, and now our history as English British people is being erased. Well, that title was actually wrong, because Emilia wasn't actually black, nor was she African, nor was she North African. So I'll stop taking the mick and I'll just explain that she had a white mother who was English.
Yeah,
She had a father who was Italian. No. If we're going to talk about it, let me be clear. Let's be clear. Her father was Italian, Spanish. There was no actual link in terms of her actually being North African.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Right, then I think we're going to the Great British Giveaway, aren't we? Here's how to take part, because the prize is really cool.
This year, the adventure of a lifetime could be on us. Courtesy of Riviera Travel, there's a terrific £10,000 holiday for two to be won. You could be here exploring the magic of Egypt on a Nile River cruise. Or choose from over 30 worldwide destinations like Thailand, South Africa, New Zealand or even Sri Lanka. And because they have over 40 years experience with handcrafted tours, you'll be safe in the knowledge that every step of the journey will be planned with you in mind. We'll also boost your bank account with a fabulous £30,000 in tax-free cash, which you'll be able to spend however you like this year. So what are you waiting for?
For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB19, PO Box 8690, Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 27th of February. The winner may be contacted live after all entry routes have closed. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck. Now to this story that's made the newspapers about a woman who has said that she settled for Mr. OK rather than Mr. Right.
I hope she told the poor boy that
Well,
he's
that's what
just
I was
Mr.
thinking.
OK.
Does he know now that he's just OK? And
well, he certainly
she
does.
settled
know,
for
yeah.
him. So, but is it arguable? Some people make pacts, don't they? They say, oh, you know, let's get married if we both reach the age of 40 and we're neither of us married or something like that. Is it OK to settle for Mr. OK rather than Mr. Right, or Mrs., I suppose? Joining us now to debate this, social commentator Julie Cook and etiquette expert Liz Brewer. Good morning, good morning. Julie, let's start with you, because I think you think it's OK to settle for Mr. OK. No, you don't. You think the opposite.
No, I think the opposite. Yeah, I say this because I did this myself. So in my 20s, I married what should have been a long-term boyfriend. He was a lovely man. We married, and we really shouldn't have, because 2 years later we were divorced. I was a divorcee in my 20s, and then I met my current husband, who I've been with for 17 years. Point being that I settled. He was a lovely man, but he wasn't right for me. And the old saying is, isn't it, marry in haste, repent at leisure? And I did repent. As I say, wish him well, he was great, but he was Mr. OK and not Mr. Right. So the point is, it will get you in the end, it will backfire, and you will end up feeling regretful that you did.
Well, not necessarily so, I guess, Liz, because there are many, many instances of people who are not necessarily madly in love when they first meet or first get married, but that love grows over many decades.
Absolutely, Mark. You've hit it on the head.
Oh, I'm just an old romantic.
It's very rare that you have that bullet and you fall in love instantly. It does happen, but it's rare. And love grows. It's one of the reasons that many people in a workplace, a boss marries his secretary, they grow together with loyalty, with trust, and with an attraction. You know, we've had arranged marriages for years. And in this country as well, go back to the Victorian era, Edwardian era, the families had arranged marriages, but it wasn't strict. I mean, you were introduced, there were debutantes, the eligible young men were lined up. That really doesn't happen today. But the problem is, in today's world, it's not easy for especially young people to actually meet safely somebody that they may hopefully end up the rest of their lives with. And therefore, they have to understand that living with another person, it's not that it's a Mr. OK. It's somebody you like. It's somebody that you have shared values with, and you have a similar life pattern, although that's not necessary. And what happens is you mold together. Living together, you can have your space, but you need to understand and actually live in unity together and grow together. And that does happen. If you look in Asia, East Asia especially, even parts of Africa, where arranged marriages still happen, it's now not forced marriages usually, but the arranged marriage is when the families get together and select people that may be as what they consider an appropriate partner for life, and a marriage happens. And in that instant, the families, because marriage is not just marrying one person, it's often marrying a whole new family. And that's part of your ongoing lifestyle. And it's important with grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And so I'm a great believer in definitely not rushing into marriage, because what you do when you're in your 20s may not necessarily happen when you're in your 30s and 40s.
And that's the point that you were making, Julie, isn't it? Marry at haste, repent at leisure. Nobody wants that. But when do you know? I mean, if you're falling in love, when do you know that he is Mr. Right, not just Mr. OK?
Are you asking me? Because you do know.
No, hang on, Liz. Let Julie have her say.
Oh, yes.
My experience, it was this. I married what really should have been a boyfriend, a long-term boyfriend. And for various reasons, the marriage, you get carried away, and before you know it, you're walking down the aisle. But we didn't have a lot of shared interests. We weren't really on the same page about a lot of things. We didn't really have the same sort of sense of humour. Although we shared friends, and as Liz rightly said, you can grow together, and I think that can happen. But for us, it didn't. And I did meet my now husband, and there was the thunderbolt. So I'm one of the rare people who did experience that. And we did have the same sense of humour, and it was like meeting a twin soul. So I've been very, very lucky, and I know that. But my point is that I think all the things Liz mentions are, of course, correct and true, and she's an etiquette expert, and I bow to that. But I think a lot of the reason a lot of these women traditionally did stay in these marriages, which were okay, was because women didn't have traditionally and historically a chance to get away, or to have the opportunity to leave that marriage for shame, for money reasons, for financial reasons, all these things. So I don't think it always works out, although I agree it can do. But in my case,
it's always a risk, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah,
We've got to leave it there. You've both got such a lot to say on the subject. So have our viewers at the moment, actually. Daniel says, love grows with shared accomplishments, like children. There must be chemistry, because you have to live with them first to put up with them later. It need not be love at first sight, but there must be chemistry. Matthew says modern women are brainwashed to think that life has to be perfect, and if they're not 100% happy, then they should leave the marriage. And then Robert says love can grow over the decades, but so too can contempt. We'll leave it there. It's one of those. It's one of those subjects that will go on and on and on forever and ever.
Thank you, Julie, and thanks, Liz.
One of my very best friends at school. Bye-bye. One of my very best friends at school, who was one of the most sensible people you could come across. She was living with Mr. OK, and then one day at work she bumped into Mr. Right, and she knew from that moment onwards. And she rang me up and she said, I can't go home. I can't go home because I've met the man I'm going to marry. And they're still married happily all these years later.
Well, it's a very powerful thing. It is at the end of the day. But in a long-term relationship, you need to have lots in common as well. The interests that you share. And love can maybe grow from that. But obviously, if you don't have lots in common, even if you're madly in love, then over the long term, that's where the relationship can really suffer.
You've got to invest in a relationship, I suppose.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah. How much money?
Ah, money. Very interesting point, which somebody made, actually. What if Mr. OK is extremely well off? He might become Mr. Right at that point.
Softens
Not
the
my
blow
point.
a bit.
Somebody said that. OK, 7:28. In fact, it's just now 7:29. Still to come, Alcaraz and Djokovic are preparing to battle it out on the court as the Australian Open nears an end. That's in the sports with Aidan McGee, who's coming up next.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
We can allow.
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We've been talking about the fact that the RSPCA have announced a big campaign, basically because so many animals are being abandoned or cruelly treated at the moment. So we thought to cheer us all up, we're asked for your pet pictures this morning, and lots of you have been getting in touch. Thank you very much. If you want to send your picture, it's gbviews@gbnews.com. So.
This is Peggy, our rescue dog. She's my 15-year-old son's dog. We've had her nearly 2 years. That's from
Claire.
That's from Claire.
Yeah. And then there's this from Pete. Here's Milo. Oh, lovely name again. Who I adopted 10 years ago.
Wow. And Kirsten has sent us this. It's a photo of her dog Molly, adopted from Maxie's Mates Rescue in Teesside. And she'll have been with me 8 years on the 10th of February. Best thing I ever did was to adopt. She's an absolute joy. That's beautiful.
Absolutely. So if you've got a lovely picture to send us, gbviews@gbnews.com. That's the way to do it.
I still can't get over how anybody would, take a pet, a rescued pet or otherwise,
or just
and
abandon
it. It's just, I can't get my head around it at all.
No. It shows a lack of empathy, total lack of empathy.
Yeah.
Have you got a pet?
No, we always grew up with cats, though.
Yeah.
We had a cat called Jess between 1982 and 1999, named after Postman Pat's cat.
Oh, of course.
Although she was pure black, just a tiny bit of white underneath. And then we had another cat called...
Pat?
No. Second one, 99 until 2015. So those two cats saw us through those.
We always had cats and dogs, and we had a hamster called Sputnik, who was named after the Russian satellite.
I had a hamster called Hutch.
Hutch, that's a good one.
Hutch.
Yeah.
Oh, not after Starsky and Hutch.
No. Actually, you're right.
Probably could be.
Because I had a dog. It was a black sort of lab cross, and we named it Starsky.
Oh, I love it.
Because I got it in, late 70s, 80s, just at the time of Starsky and Hutch. And we had a blonde hamster called Hutch.
Let's talk some serious sport now, Aidan.
Yes.
What do we got?
Novak Djokovic against Carlos Alcaraz in Australia, the Australian Open final. We've talked lots about how Djokovic stands right on the edge of not just glory, but also history, Mark. 25 Grand Slams to put him ahead of Margaret Court. He's not won a Grand Slam for 2.5 years, so he's treading into... I don't recall him going that long. He did have a lull in his career about 10 years ago where he wasn't at his very best. I don't recall him going 2.5 years without a slam. But if he does it, and the pressure will be on today because he has quite a kind run through the final, through to the final. He did have that epic against Yannick Sinner, of course, but prior to that, he received a bye. There was an injury reprieve against Lorenzo Musetti, and then he narrowly avoided disqualification earlier in the tournament, didn't he, when he missed a ball kid with an errant shot. But I think the pressure will be building on him this morning. I think this will probably be the last we see of him in the latter stage, just because I think the French is just so different. That's in May. That's on clay. That's something he struggled with throughout his career, largely because Rafa Nadal was so dominant in Paris, and Federer struggled with it as well. I mean, people don't remember Federer or Djokovic being top clay court players, but each of them were the second best in the world for a number of years. It's just that this guy was so far in front, Nadal. But in terms of what he does today, if he does it, and I think he's got a decent chance because I think he knows that the reward there for doing it is so great. I think we'd have to rank him among the very best sports people
of all time.
Of all time, and Greg Rosetsky touched on it yesterday when he joined us on the show. But I mean, Serena Williams from his own sport, Margaret Court, they'd have to be up there, I think. But you're talking in the realms of Michael Jordan, Muhammad Ali, Pele.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely extraordinary names.
And
for longevity, put Tom
people who don't think he's got much of a personality, because he often doesn't show it, if you've ever been to an exhibition match, it really shines.
Yes.
I mean, he's very funny.
I think he's really...
And very popular.
Yes, he's used to do the impressions of all the players.
That's right.
In the dressing room.
I'd love to have seen his Andy Murray.
Yeah, no, he didn't do the voice. He did how they were on court, just how they lined up, and he used to pull his shorts up like Nadal.
And he's great at trick shots as well. I mean,
he's a
really talented
individual, and he attributed most of his success, especially at the key moments, handling the pressure, which we talk about so often in sport. Well, actually, not enough in some cases, but in tennis, when it's an individual sport, it's so crucial. But he says that he emerged from a war-torn Serbia, and he said he did walk on broken glass. It's not a cliche. He literally did put his head out the window some days, and there'd been a bombing attack and an array of missiles, etc. And he had to grow up around that, and it strengthened him. It gave him mental fortitude. And I think when you've seen that kind of thing, match point against Federer or Nadal probably seems quite pithy by comparison, doesn't it?
Have you got anything special to say about football coming up?
Yeah, well, I want to touch on the women's final yesterday. Elena Rybakina beat Aryna Sabalenka in 3 sets. That was a great win for her. But in the football as well, Arsenal, the pressure was on them as well. They went to Leeds and won 4-0, so they've restored their lead at the top to 7 points. Manchester City have to win today just to keep pace with them. Michael Carrick takes charge of his 3rd Manchester United match. I saw them play last Sunday at Arsenal. They look re-energised under him. Bournemouth, they keep winning when you're in the studio, and they won away to Wolves yesterday by 2 goals to 0. And we've got some decent games as well today. Villa hoping to maintain their resurgence, or not resurgence, their charge up the top. Everyone's talking about, are they title contenders? Well, they have to be, really, given the point situation. And they face Jennifer Powers' favourites, Brentford, at Villa Park today.
Oh, brilliant.
Thanks very much, Adrian.
And do stay with us, because still to come, a new documentary on Netflix detailing Lucy Letby's crimes. It's getting a real backlash. Find out why next.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello. Well, we have a south-shifted jet stream that's just bringing areas of low pressure across Europe, so it is unsettled. We've got spells of rain, more so across Portugal and into Spain and into France. Across the Mediterranean, we are also seeing some heavy spells of rain and thunderstorms, but also some strong winds, so expect some rough seas here. Otherwise, there's going to be further showers on the cars. There will be some brightness in between, though.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, 2026 has already got off to a fascinating start in politics, but what might be next? With us now in the studio is impressionist Tony Lapidus. Well, Tony, very nice to have you here. Thank you.
Great to see you. We've introduced you as Tony, but I think you might also be Sir Keir Starmer for the moment. And Sir Keir, looking back on 2025, what's your most memorable occasion from the year and your proudest achievement?
Well, look, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. I really do appreciate it. It means so much to me. There have been so many achievements. Namely, one of the most important ones was when Donald Trump invited me up in the Sharm el-Sheikh summit and then told me to retreat like a little boy to the corner. It was a projection of such leadership. And the British people voted for a strong leader, and I think I conveyed that.
Accusations made against you about what you were like in your school days at Dulwich. How have you responded to those accusations?
Oh, well, they're not true. They're not true at all. Isn't it funny that people would bring something up from so many decades ago? At the end of the day, what I did when I was younger, I deny it all, by the way, but what I did, I never said anything nastily. I remember one chap, and he wrote me an email recently. He said, "You used to call me overweight." And I did, but I did it to do him a favour. And you know what? He said in the end, he couldn't get a job because he lost so much weight and they stuck him in a mental asylum.
Oh, well, first of all, that's a stupid question, isn't it? You're a stupid guy, aren't you? You know, you're beautiful, by the way. You're a beautiful guy. You're a beautiful woman, excuse me. But I will say that's a stupid, dumb question because it's been one of the most unbelievable... probably the best year that anybody's ever seen, even though we're in January. You know that. You know she knows that. She loves this. She absolutely loves it. But, yeah, it's going to be so much better, and we're going to do a lot more invasion.
Five hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racist tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Right, if you're after some sunshine, are we going to do this? No, I think we've done it, haven't we?
Yes,
we told you where to go for the holiday sun, so it's time for the papers, which is really brilliant now. We've got Duncan Barks and Emma Wolfe with us now. Lovely to see you back.
Hello.
We were talking earlier about how you are better off at a certain level. You're better off on benefits than working, like the man next door, for instance. What are those levels of earnings?
The levels are if you're earning and paying tax at around 30,000. And then you pay your tax, you're ending up going home with about 20. Whereas if you can just claim benefit, you can have a combination of universal credit, sickness benefit, whatever you're signed off with, you're taking home about 25. People are just feeling, what is the point of working? What is the point? And Ian Duncan Smith has been warning about this for years, this kind of, make work pay, make it worth people's while to work, to give them something to take home. Otherwise, what is the point?
Yeah, I mean, the challenge here is there's not a massive amount of political will. I mean, we saw at the Conservative Party conference last year in Manchester, they outlined some policies saying, well, we will make work pay, and that's great if the Tories do get back into government at some point, but at the moment you have a Labour government, and we know that Sir Keir Starmer literally is in hock to his Labour backbenchers. He can't get stuff through.
But how
So
can
you
we
won't have this
exist as a
battle.
country where we're paying people benefits rather than letting them work for their money? That can't go on. It's unsustainable.
When you
isn't it?
say there's no political will, there has to be, because the welfare bill is spiralling out
And
of
we're coming
control.
up to the tipping point, aren't we?
We really are.
And there is resent. If you talk to people, people are genuinely resentful of the fact that I get out of bed in the morning, I go to work, I put in a shift, I work hard or whatever, and they will tell you, and I talk to people in pubs about this and people in my life who just go, my next door neighbour doesn't work. They say they've got this wrong with them. Got to take it at face value, but then I see them go off and play golf, and people get resentful of that kind of stuff.
Of course they do, but there are so many issues there. There's the fact that doctors, GPs are being besieged by people saying, I've got anxiety, I've got depression, all these mental health experiences, I won't even call them conditions, that we all know are part of life, they're part of everyday life. Then there are young people, 16 to 24. The percentage of those who are on benefits, starting a life on welfare. If you are on benefits in your 20s, you're 90% more likely to still be on benefits in your 30s. It is a lifetime's kind of... You're condemned, basically, to worklessness.
So what's going on with these professionals, then? Are they just... Do they lack the backbone to challenge people as to whether they really are unfit to
I
work?
interviewed a GP a while ago, and he was very clear that he believes his colleagues do err on the side of caution, because what they don't want to do is say, actually, there's nothing really wrong with you. You need to get back into the normal 9 to 5, just in case something else goes wrong, and it comes back to haunt that particular GP. So there is a bit of a culture, and also they don't have a great deal of time. So if someone comes in and has an appointment or whatever and says, I'm depressed, sign them off. Which I'm not being dismissive about mental health issues, I'm not being dismissive about GPs, but I think there is, as you've identified, Emma, a number of factors that mean people do get a bit of paper that is signed that allow them to actually start claiming certain benefits.
And what we have to stress is, without sounding like a kind of moral about it, work is good for you. Work is good for your mental health. Any of those things, anxiety, depression, loneliness, those things which do exist and which, by the way, we've pathologised into being conditions, which are just part of ups and downs, getting your heart broken, feeling rubbish, having a bad day, all of that stuff. And of course there are more serious aspects to it. Of course there are. But, we have to be able... People, A, need resilience, but B, they need to understand that work is good for all those things. Going to work makes you feel purposeful, makes you feel like you're contributing. It's good for your physical health because we have obesity. All of this. There's so many aspects.
I think you're
it's the number one
right.
crisis.
I was reporting outside the Home Office a few months back. Van pulled up, very disabled, severely disabled chap, was wheeled out of the back and in to do his job of work at the Home Office. It's incredible and really, really uplifting. But as you say, so many people feel they get that lift and that sense of purpose.
Well, if you've got no reason to get out of bed in the morning, it's going to lead to depression. Even if you haven't already got depression, it's going to lead to it,
and social isolation.
Yes.
And I know it's really hard. I think when people don't start in an office, they don't start in a workplace, the way we all did, sort of probably leaving college or university, it's very hard to get that, to know how to do it. And then young people say they feel too anxious to attend interviews. Well, of course you do.
Yeah.
But everyone does, and everyone did, and I think we have, and you made a point earlier, we've actually started diagnosing conditions which are, it's going to sound quite brutal, just how life is. You do get anxious, you do get nervous before a job interview, and that's perfectly all right.
Or a first date.
Or a first date.
But if you're online, or your driving test, but if you're online the whole time, there's another part of it, isn't it? Social media and being online in the pandemic, and people being locked down, and people not being at school, at college, interacting with their peers. It's very, very hard then to launch back into the world and be with normal people.
Yeah.
So do we hold out any hope that this will change under the new leadership of Angela Rayner, who is on manoeuvres with her £1 million.
Be careful what you wish for.
Dear me. Well, I'm glad you bring this one up. Starmer thought that he was safe, didn't he? He'd survived Burnham Gate. Are we calling it Burnham Gate? King of the North Gate. Scuttled off to China. He's barely got on the plane. And now Angela Rayner has set up this company. I want to open a company called... Anyway, this company is called the Office of Angela Rayner Limited. She's got her £1 million war chest. She's striding around, presumably in fierce stiletto heels, dangling cabinet jobs to potential supporters. I mean, it's about as likely as me offering a cabinet job. You could be my Home Secretary.
I'd love to be Home Secretary.
I don't have anything to... But you could be my Home Secretary.
Thank you.
You give me £1 million. Yeah, she's on manoeuvres.
She's on manoeuvres, and I mean, it's interesting because she does have the backing of the unions. And
Yeah.
of course, when you strip all of this down, the Labour Party, politics is all about money, right? Let's not pretend there's anything else. And if you've got the financial clout, you're going to go places. And she is massively supported by the unions. We also have union leaders now unite in unison who are pretty hostile to Sir Keir Starmer. They're not a fan of Starmer. They've made it very clear. So if Angela can harness some of that hostility and get their backing, that puts her in a really, really good position.
Meanwhile, what is Wes Streeting thinking?
Exactly. You see, there's opposition. These would-be challengers are coming at Starmer from every angle of the party, from every wing of the party. He's not out of the woods yet by any stretch of the imagination.
Do you think that Wes...
Has Wes gone a bit quiet?
Was his own worst enemy in the sense that, you know, he was on manoeuvres a bit too early. It was very unseemly, his manoeuvres.
Well, has Burnham burnt his bridges? I mean, you know, when do you jump? When do you hold back? Did you get a second go?
But Burnham went far too early because that chaotic attempt on the run-up to the Labour Party conference last year, where he gave an interview to the Daily Telegraph and some other interviews, going, "Oh, of course I'd like to be Prime Minister one day. I'm just being perfectly honest." It's like, all right, Andy, we know exactly where you're coming from. Then to turn up at the Labour Party conference, where he was given quite a hard time by members, just going, "Mate, you may well think you should be the leader one day, but you don't do it on the run-up to a conference." And then he left before Starmer's speech. All of those optics were really, really poor.
So maybe Keir Starmer shouldn't worry because he is Prime Minister, he's still Labour leader, and he's got a whacking great majority. Maybe everybody in the end will be just too frightened to really come up against him.
Do you think so?
I don't know.
I think the next pivotal date is the 7th of May, the local elections, and if Labour get the drubbing that people think they might, that is going to be problematic for Keir Starmer. And, of course, before that, we have the by-election looming as well.
Yeah, let's not mention that.
So, you know...
Sorry, we can't mention it because we're in purdah.
But it's going to be fascinating to discover how on earth they would go about unseating him, because it seems enormously difficult within the Labour setup to do. It's not like the Tories.
Well, you need 81 MPs, apparently.
Well, they all claim they've got 81.
Yeah, exactly that.
Don't they?
But then again, they would.
Yeah. Can we move on to the Lucy Letby Netflix documentary?
This is a very difficult and complex story. This is involving her parents, Susan and John. And they've spoken out for the first time since their daughter's conviction, because this coming week sees a release of a Netflix film all about Lucy Letby. And they're pretty horrified because this documentary, and they've condemned the documentary, contains police footage of Lucy Letby being arrested in her pyjamas at their home. So not her home, but at her parents' home. And they've got a number of issues about this. They say it's an invasion of privacy because it's their home, it's not Lucy Letby's home. But also they're questioning why the police released the footage in the first place. And they're condemning the whole idea.
Well, she is a convicted murderer.
She is.
But isn't that the footage that we all have? We've had it on the news, and we run it, and I think we just run it there just now.
Well, this is the footage, if I've understood this correctly, of her in her parents' in a room in her parents' house in pyjamas, and the police going in. Not the footage of her coming out of her own house.
It's different footage. She's in bed. She looks very confused.
So that's why they're upset about this, but also gets you into the area. If you start reading into these reports, there are now 30 experts who are saying the evidence that was used does not necessarily stand up to scrutiny, and maybe we need to revisit this.
It is a real worry, isn't it, that there is, as you say, the growing evidence, the growing number of people who are throwing doubt on her conviction.
It is so hard to know what one... I find it so hard to get any sense of who's right and who's wrong in this one. Genuinely, and I've, read what I can, and there is plausible doubt that deaths happened when she was there, but also...
But it was a high-risk business that she was in.
These were very sick babies. Yeah. But then there seems to be a spike when she was on duty, but then there were deaths when she wasn't as well.
Yeah.
And as you say,
and evidence that they used each other's passes sometimes to get inside the door of the unit. So you're never quite sure whether and it was basically circumstantial.
Circumstantial, and a lot of notes and sort of scribblings of a person who maybe wasn't very, isn't prepossessing or doesn't come across as the kind of person that we want to see. But that is not a conviction, is it?
It's a real worry, and I don't know how we're ever going to get to the bottom of it.
No, I mean, her lawyer makes the point. There are over 30 experts now saying that the evidence that was used does not necessarily stack up. And I think if that number increases, you know, we have someone who's potentially never going to get out of prison here, right? If more and more people come out and go, there's something not right about this, if this it turns out to be a massive miscarriage of justice, it needs to be addressed. I know it sounds really hard for the parents who lost their children, but if someone is innocent,
yeah, I was thinking about the parents.
You've surely got to look at that.
But just because somebody is an unsympathetic character doesn't mean they're guilty. But we've seen that time and again, haven't we? I've got a reply to read out, but I can't find it.
But it's just so important that this cannot happen in a neonatal unit. I think that's what's absolutely crucial, that this cannot happen.
I think we've got to go to the weather now.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your GB News weather update brought to you by the Met Office. Well, to start the new month, it's cloudy. We've got further spells of rain, but perhaps some brighter interludes coming in to the far west later. On the whole, though, it's a cloudy picture out there with outbreaks of rain. We just need to keep mind of some outbreaks of rain towards the southwest. That's giving us some uncertainty today. Otherwise, a band of rain across Northern Ireland will continue to push its way eastwards into northern parts of England, southern Scotland, into Wales and eventually into the Midlands. Brighter and drier behind that across Northern Ireland with glimmers of sunshine across the far southwest of Wales and Devon and Cornwall. Otherwise, the temperatures will be around average for the time of year. Now, across Scotland this evening, we hold on to a good deal of cloud with outbreaks of rain, most persistent across Orkney and Shetland in that southeasterly breeze, but drier across Northern Ireland to end Sunday evening. Again, likewise across the far southwest of Wales and into Devon and Cornwall, but for the most part across England, especially across the southeast, we hold on to plenty of rain. So a damp end to the weekend here, further spells of rain just persisting, especially across Orkney and Shetland. Clearer skies across Northern Ireland and the far west. That allow temperatures to fall to give icy stretches, frost and perhaps some mist and fog. So a chilly start to Monday here. Elsewhere, temperatures still generally above freezing to start Monday morning. So as we go through Monday, well, it's again a messy picture out there. We've got further spells of rain, more so later on across the southwest, where a yellow Met Office rain warning does come into force. Otherwise, showers most persistent across northern England and especially towards the northeast. Again, falling wintry at higher levels, especially across the northeast of Scotland. Otherwise, temperatures around average.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
We want you to set off on the destination of your dreams this year, as you could win an incredible holiday for two worth £10,000. Courtesy of Riviera Travel, you'll get to choose from 47 tours in over 30 worldwide destinations. We'll also give you £30,000 in tax-free cash to make sure you really make a splash this summer.
For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB19 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 27th of February. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Very good morning to you. Our top story, the former Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner is said to be on manoeuvres.
And that's as reports suggest that she has secured already £1 million backing to fight for the keys to number 10.
Well, with rumours Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham and Health Secretary Wes Streeting also have their eyes on the prize, is the Prime Minister becoming increasingly irrelevant?
A second Epstein victim comes forward with a claim that she spent a night with Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor in Royal Lodge back in 2010. In fact, on Air Force One a short while ago, when asked if he would sue Epstein's estate, this is what President Trump had to say.
Yes, so, because he was conspiring with Wolf to do harm to me politically. That's not a friend.
6 residents are preparing to protest again today after the government began moving the first of almost 600 illegal male migrants into a former military site in Crowborough.
And protests are held in Braintree against migrants housed in a local RAF base after a resident shared what may be shocking footage that he claims exposes how the accommodation site is leaving local residents feeling unsafe.
Almost 60,000 businesses closed in January, laying bare the pressures on Britain's economy as shop owners placed the blame firmly with the Chancellor.
Novak Djokovic will step on court at the Australian Open today with world number 1 Carlos Alcaraz standing in the way of his historic quest for a 25th Grand Slam title. In the Premier League, the onus is on Manchester City to win at Spurs today after Arsenal restored their lead at the top to 7 points.
After a wet January, there's further rain on the cards as we head into the new month. I'll have all of the details coming up shortly.
Well, it's just gone 8 o'clock, yes. 2 minutes past 8 already. I'm Anne Diamond.
And I'm Mark White, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Should we have a look at some more of your pictures of your pets, particularly rescue dogs and cats? We've been talking about this morning because the RSPCA are saying that never have they come across so many instances of cruelty and neglect when it comes to animals they've had to rescue. So let's cheer ourselves up by looking at some cats and dogs and whatever who are loved.
And Gary has sent us this photo.
Oh, it's an action photo, isn't it?
My 2 little monsters, Alfie and Sapphire. Wonderful.
That one on the right is a cat, clearly.
They're both
It looks
cats,
like a squirrel leaping forward, doesn't it? Amanda shared this. Oh, there's a lovely picture of Tilly. She was adopted from Ballymena Dogs Trust in August 2025, and I adore her.
Wonderful. Silvana has sent us this. Oh, this is Bertie.
If you're listening on the radio, this is a dog wearing reading glasses.
He's like an old man.
He is, he's lovely. And Ken and Penny sent us this picture from Spain. Oh, look, 2 beautiful, beautiful dogs in what looks like a poppy field or something. She says, our boys rescued from France as puppies, and they're called Burger and Chips. Love it. Thank you so much. And it really does cheer us up on a day like today.
But really just, I mean, beyond me, that, you know, these lovely, lovely animals had to be rescued in the first place. I just can't understand anyone that would take on, you know, a cat or a dog or whatever the pet is, and then a month or two down the line decide that they can't cope and they dump that
Surely
pet.
you go through everything in your mind intrinsically to understand the responsibility that comes with it.
Yes, but even if you have to concede because your circumstances change, you don't just neglect or abandon an animal, for heaven's sake. Anyway, if you want to show us your lovely picture of whatever pet it is you've got and who you're proud of, it's gbviews@gbnews.com. gbviews@gbnews.com, and then you can upload your picture on that.
Right, to our top story now. And Labour infighting is heating up, with former Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner allegedly securing £1 million backing in her bid to oust Sir Keir Starmer.
You have to remember, of course, she was Deputy Leader, wasn't she? And she was forced to resign from the Cabinet 5 months ago over her underpayment of stamp duty. And allies now say she is ready to take the top job.
Well, political commentator Jennifer Powers is back with us for her take on this. So exciting, isn't it?
I don't know what's in the air this morning. We're all you know, surprisingly excited about something that may not happen for 5 months' time. But yeah, it's looking like she's gearing up to go. Lots of the telltale signs are there in terms of raising her profile and the briefings and the money that's flowing in. I also wonder about her influence on policy. So she was Secretary of State for Housing and Communities, as well as being Deputy Prime Minister. And we had movement on the leasehold reforms over the past week, where the government finally brought forward draft legislation. And that was something that she was really pushing. And so, you know, I wonder if she was sort of making noises behind the scenes that was something that she really wanted to happen. We don't know. Another thing that she cares about a lot are public services. She was a social care worker when she was younger, and as you've mentioned, really active in the union movement. So there's a whole area of policy there where she feels very personally and very passionately about. So those might be areas where she feels that she can speak out on over the next 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, I mean, we were saying earlier that she has charisma, whether you like her politics or not. She has charisma. She's got bundles of personality. But should we, or those who are in favour of her, be careful what they wish for? Because in what way would she influence government? Where would she turn it?
No, that is such a good question. It's one thing talking about the personalities and talking about, you know, who's up and who's down. And I'm sure she would be more popular. I'm sure, you know, a change of leader always gives, you know, there's a short bounce. They hope it's a longer bounce, but they at least get that short bounce. But what would she do? How would she change policy beyond her personality? What changes would she actually bring in? And what we know about her is, you know, yes, she has this charismatic personality. Yes, she has the backing of the unions. You know, she's very much for more council homes to be built, for more money to put into care, social care, and so on. But what would that mean for a government that's facing these huge challenges of spending, highest tax burden since World War II, a really dire state of the public services, a parliamentary party unwilling to reform the state, backing away numerous times from some of the welfare reform that may be needed to get people back into work, but also to shore up public finances? Would she really take on any of those issues? And if not, you know, all this talk around productivity, around growth, around, you know, tackling the cost of living, what would she bring to bear to tackle any of those issues? And so would that rise in popularity for her personally actually improve the lot of the Labour government?
I think as intriguing as Who Is on Manoeuvres is, what's also fascinating is how on earth we're in this position where they're on manoeuvres in the first place. How could Labour have squandered such a stonking majority just a year and a half into their government that we're talking about a government in such crisis that it needs to ditch its leader?
Well, I have a view on that, and I think it all goes back to candidate selection, because I think, you know, we are faced with a pool of parliamentarians, and that from which all parties draw their leaders. And, you know, in Keir Starmer, Sir Keir, we have someone who is very adept in his role as a public prosecutor. But that doesn't necessarily mean that he has the understanding of the challenges facing Britain or the solutions to
complete
them.
lack of charisma.
And he does struggle to communicate. He does struggle to really engage with the population, or let alone inspire. So, you know, I do think it's difficult for all parties. I mean, why were the Conservatives, you know, they were forced to go with Boris Johnson because he was the only one that could resolve Brexit, but yet he wasn't, and this is someone, you know, who I did work for him briefly, wasn't really great at the business of governing. Then you had, you know, Liz Truss, who, again, you know, was disastrous in her very short time in office. So, you know, we have this pool of people to draw from. And so I think unless and until we can really encourage just an uptake in the standard of the candidates coming forward. And why would anyone? Why would anyone do this
maybe
job?
It's an impossible job.
I do think it's a very difficult job. I mean, one, they get people like us, people like me, sitting there, you know, coming on and commenting on them endlessly. They get a huge amount of abuse. It's actually not a very well-paid job, considering that you're pretty much 24/7, that you don't have privacy, that your, you know, home life is invaded, your children might be bullied, you know, your wife or husband may be attacked. So it is a really dreadful job.
And yet so many want to do it.
And perhaps therein lies the problem, that, you know, who would want to do such an unattractive job, and what do we as a society need to do to maybe change the way we treat our politicians so that better people come forward and want to do the job. So, yeah, really big questions, more than we can fix on breakfast this morning.
But she set up this company now, which is called
the Office of Angela Rayner Limited, which sounds very grand. I don't know if you know, any of your viewers out there have companies. Have they named them after themselves?
No, but Tony Blair did.
Tony Blair
and he
did
became
it.
immensely rich.
Well, he did.
Didn't he? I mean, immensely so. So maybe she's modelling herself on that model.
But he had been Prime Minister for some considerable time.
And a world statesman. I mean, he was incredibly well known. You know, he was a Prime Minister for quite a long period of time. So, you know, perhaps she sees that.
But you need money to fight an election, don't you?
You do, and she's well placed to do that. So, yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to see if anyone else, you know, comes on the scene. It may not be the three gentlemen that we've spoken
it might
of
be somebody
this morning. It might be something completely different. So, yeah, lots to talk about in the months that come.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I need to tell you that a spokesman for Angela Rayner has said Angela has formed a company to provide staff support for her public activities, in line with precedent and with approval from the relevant authorities.
There you go. OK, moving on. Hundreds gathered near Braintree yesterday in protest against an RAF base which is being used to house 800 migrants.
Angry residents say they feel unsafe after CCTV footage shared exclusively with GB News revealed one man lurking, really, appearing to break an 11 p.m. curfew.
Well, yesterday, GB News presenter Alex Armstrong spoke to local residents.
We've had them at 5:30 in the morning down our lane. We're down a private lane. We've had them 5:30 in the morning. I've had one random guy wandering around in the yard at like midnight.
There's people here protesting today against the migrants who've moved into the base up the road at RS Wethersfield. What do you think of that?
I agree.
Yeah.
Like, even if they want to walk to their friend's house for a sleepover or anything, it's like, no. Just no, not anymore.
Well, joining us now, former Immigration Minister Kevin Foster. Morning to you, Kevin. It does appear that wherever you now place immigrants or illegal migrants or whatever you call them, it's going to anger the local community. And local communities seem to now be motivated to turn out and protest about it.
Yeah, good morning, Anne. Yeah, this is the investment by the government in a community that no one wants and no one welcomes. And usually the local council objects ferociously as well, although in Crowborough, rather strangely, the council hasn't been as vociferous as perhaps they have in other areas. And that's because people, do see this as something they don't want in their community. There's concerns. In terms of the model of sort of accommodation centre here in the UK, they're not detained, so they're not required to stay on the site in the way, let's say, what some of the immigration removal centres people might live near to. There's one big one near Heathrow for obvious reasons. So, yeah, this is unpopular. And ultimately, it's a symptom of the problem that the numbers of people arriving by small boat in Dover are going up. We saw 41,000 arrive last year, and options for removals like Rwanda were taken off the table 18 months ago. So this is, at the end of the day, the symptom of the problem, which is the sheer level of people arriving in a small boat.
Kevin, we have to say, of course, that RAF Wethersfield was a base that was open to migrants under the previous Conservative government. But do you think that now, especially as the model going forward is to have many more of these bases used to house migrants, that to try to reassure communities, the migrants are kept on base. They're not allowed off base until their status as either a successful asylum seeker is granted or not. Do you think that's the way forward? Is it doable?
I think, is it something that would reassure people? Yes. Is it doable? It very much depends on the site being used. Some are quite large sites that have literally just basic wire fences around them. Most people from that description will quickly work out that it's not going to be very hard to break out of such a facility. Whereas some of the options that were looked at, remember when we looked at Linton-on-Ouse in North Yorkshire, there was an option to create detained accommodation on that site. But even then, if you try and detain people, you'd have to start looking at changes of the law as well around that. Although, as you've already touched on this show, the government has a big enough majority if they wished to do that. You still don't get to the point of you actually need to decide what you're going to do with these people. And if you decide that, having come from a safe and democratic country, they don't need to be in the UK, that you want to remove them, you then need to deal with all the issues that are there, including, as we know, the ECHR, the Statelessness Convention, and the Refugee Convention, which are all being gamed by those who are effectively looking to be an economic migrant to the UK.
It's hellishly complicated, everything that does need to be done to stand any chance of being effective. But then we have had long enough to think this through, haven't we? Successive governments.
Yeah, I can remember being, drawing up the new plan for immigration under Boris Johnson, which was a relatively comprehensive strategy. The most notable part of that was the first proposals for the Rwanda plan. But then since then, we perhaps didn't see the move to implement what we should have seen under Mr. Sunak's administration. And then when Keir Starmer came in, we had the slogan of "Smash the Gangs," which was a slogan, not a particular strategy. Yet we can look at other countries. There's Australia, there's Greece, and in particular over the last year, the United States, that have implemented a comprehensive strategy to deal with an issue of illegal migration crossing their border. And in the United States example, they had a peak year in 2022, as did we with small boats. Last year, they were down 95%, historic lows. Not all that's because they implemented a broad strategy. It's obvious, it's clear what needs to be done. It's not easy, and it's not politically easy. But the model's there. It's the government that solves this will be the government that picks that up rather than looks to the next gimmick or headline that they can get to try and solve whatever media problem they're facing at that moment.
Kevin, thanks very much indeed. We'll talk in the next hour about this as well. It's interesting that smash the gangs was one of the phrases, and then it was smash the engines.
Smash the engines, yeah.
And that's not as effective as they hoped either.
Well, no, because despite the government saying that 60% of engines and engine components are coming from China, actually our reporting has found that increasingly now that's not the case, that the people smugglers themselves are not using Chinese engines because they're not reliable. They're cheap copies that break down and cost the people smugglers millions.
Smash the engine isn't going to work either, is it?
Anyway, the Home Office has previously informed Braintree District Council that there are no plans, they say, for the capacity of the Wethersfield base to exceed 1,245 on the government's plans to move asylum seekers out of hotels. The Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, said that illegal immigration has been placing immense pressure on communities. That's why we're removing the incentives that draw illegal migrants to Britain, closing asylum hotels that are blighting communities.
As one of our viewers has been in touch, Darren, he says, so we don't want them in hotels, we don't want them in camps, we want them out. And I suppose that's probably the truth of it, but it's just immensely complicated to get it done. Right, at that moment, 8:18, let's get the weather forecast from Catherine Chalk.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your GB News weather update brought to you by the Met Office. Well, to start the new month, it's cloudy. We've got further spells of rain, but perhaps some brighter interludes coming in to the far west later. On the whole, though, it's a cloudy picture out there with outbreaks of rain. We just need to keep mind of some outbreaks of rain towards the southwest. That's giving us some uncertainty today. Otherwise, a band of rain across Northern Ireland will continue to push its way eastwards into northern parts of England, southern Scotland, into Wales and eventually into the Midlands. Brighter and drier behind that across Northern Ireland with glimmers of sunshine across the far southwest of Wales and Devon and Cornwall. Otherwise, the temperatures will be around average for the time of year. Now, across Scotland this evening, we hold on to a good deal of cloud with outbreaks of rain, most persistent across Orkney and Shetland in that southeasterly breeze, but drier across Northern Ireland to end Sunday evening. Again, likewise across the far southwest of Wales and into Devon and Cornwall, but for the most part across England, especially across the southeast, we hold on to plenty of rain. So a damp end to the weekend here, further spells of rain just persisting, especially across Orkney and Shetland. Clearer skies across Northern Ireland and the far west. That allowed temperatures to fall to give icy stretches, frost and perhaps some mist and fog. So a chilly start to Monday here. Elsewhere, temperatures still generally above freezing to start Monday morning. So as we go through Monday, well, it's again a messy picture out there. We've got further spells of rain, more so later on across the southwest, where a yellow Met Office rain warning does come into force. Otherwise, showers most persistent across northern England and especially towards the northeast. Again, falling wintry at higher levels, especially across the northeast of Scotland. Otherwise, temperatures around average.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Do stay with us, still to come. After almost 60,000 businesses shut their doors in the first 3 weeks of the year, we're speaking to a hair salon owner who says he's barring every Labour MP from coming in and having a cut and blow dry or whatever. That's next.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11 only on GB News.
Yeah, that tea party taking place a little bit later on today. But before all of that, we are here on Pooh Bridge for an extra special game of Pooh Sticks. I've got some sticks here from the 100-acre wood that we're going to be using. There's a whole host of people here who have wanted to play Pooh Sticks with me. Lily and Anya have also been collecting sticks today. They're a big fan of Winnie the Pooh. Anya, what's Lily's favourite character?
It is Winnie the Pooh.
And what is it about Winnie the Pooh that's so popular, not only from people like you growing up, but also Lily now?
Well, we love all the stories and how there is a message from each of the stories as well. We read them every night. And what do you love about Winnie the Pooh as well? Honey, don't you? the little honey pots.
Amazing. Well, you get your sticks ready. Pooh Sticks. We've also got a running group who have come here especially today to mark 100 years of Winnie the Pooh from Haywards Heath. They have all come prepared with their sticks. Some have even brought sticks from home. Sticks are at the ready. You've brought your sticks from home. What's your technique?
Well, mine are actually probably quite wet, which I've heard is not a good thing. I think they need to be a bit drier.
In 3, 2, 1, go. All right, the sticks are in the water, but who is gonna win here at Pooh Sticks Bridge? Oh, it wasn't me. There's the first stick to come through. Whose was that? Becky, you are the winner. Congratulations of Pooh Sticks on Pooh Sticks Bridge. But this is just the first round. They've got a whole clipboard here. There's 30 of them come for a whole tournament here today to play Pooh Sticks on what is Winnie the Pooh Day, marking 100 years since Winnie the Pooh was first published back in Christmas Eve of 1925. And this, of course, Winnie the Pooh Day being marked today on the birthday of A.A. Milne.
GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. Ministers are now warning of a tide of discontent unless the decline is reversed because of the number of businesses that have had to close. Nearly 60,000 businesses have gone under in the first 3 weeks of this year, and it's having a really dismal effect on the economy.
Yes, we're joined now actually by Michael Van Clark, award-winning hairstylist, who is banning Labour politicians from coming and partaking of his services. So if Angela Rayner decides that she wants to get a nice do to launch her leadership bid against Sir Keir Starmer, that's a no-go, is it, Michael?
Well, I think it would be very difficult for us to welcome them into our environment, given the damage, the vandalism going on with the economy. And I think what you're seeing with high streets now is, to misquote Hemingway, first slowly and then suddenly. And high streets have been dying for years as the government drains more and more tax out of those communities and piles more and more regulation on.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard just recently of more and more pubs saying they will not have a Labour MP in there. And if you start another trend for hairdressers saying the same thing, poor Labour MPs aren't going to be able to go anywhere soon.
Yeah, so let's not feel too sorry for them. I wouldn't say I started to trend. It was certainly started by the pubs. But I think that the important issue here at the centre of this is that actually the state is just too big and too much money is being drained from the communities where wealth is created. The business models of most businesses cannot tolerate that level of tax. And so you don't actually have to drive that far out of central London to drive through once affluent neighbourhoods where the high streets have been decimated and you just see repeated lines of vape shop, Turkish barber, pound shop, betting shop and charity shop. Repeated after the other. These are just soulless dystopias because really, the business model that relies on people, and high streets are really at the heart of a community. And those businesses like pubs, restaurants, hairdressing salons, they rely on a lot of people to make that work. And if you persecute those working poor with absurd levels of taxation, then the models cannot work. And so you have these high streets that are just empty and boarded up. You know, there's actually evidence now that in a high street where you have a people-led business like restaurants, pubs and hair salons next to a retail business, both turning over the same amount of money, let's say 1 million, the service-led business will be paying 2 to 3 times more tax to the Treasury than the retail business.
I mean, I don't know how long you've been in the business, but you have a high street salon now, do you?
Well, we're 1 or 2 streets set back from the high street, so we're not typical, but we follow the same model of a service-led business.
And how have things changed for you financially in the ability to run a business in the years that you have been a hairdresser?
Well, it's 48 years now. We've been in service-led businesses, hospitality. And what I've seen over the last 25 years is an escalating trend of new taxes, higher taxes, more regulation. And I think a lot of people that, we speak to, because we deal with the whole range of society, from, the young apprentices that have run away from home right up to the billionaires and the royalty. And we're working on quite an intimate level. We get to know people very well. We get to know their feelings. I've not been in an environment where the level of hopelessness that people feel with things are just going to keep getting worse. And so a lot of people are giving up. And I think it's a great shame. We've seen a lot of clients leave the country. I think it's a great shame that, in a country that has so much brilliance and creativity, we've had 25 years of virtually no growth in real after-tax incomes for the average person.
But
That's
Michael,
a catastrophic failure of the state.
Sure. Is it fair, though, to lay this at the blame of Labour? As you said, you've noticed this trend for many years now of higher taxes and, a much more difficult environment on the high street. I mean, the government say that they're ploughing an additional £150 million into trying to help boost the high street.
Yes. The problem is, if you take £1,000 out of a business in tax and then you launder it through 15 departments of the state and offer that business back £100 if they jump through enough hoops to get it, it's really not very helpful. That they need to get out of the way and leave businesses to create the wealth that the country needs.
Russell has been in touch. He's got a tip for you. He says, that hairdresser you're talking to is barring Labour MPs. No. When they come in, he should say, how would you like it? And then do what the Labour government does, the complete opposite.
Give them a mohawk.
Yeah, absolutely. Or dye their hair green, maybe. It's an idea. But anyway, it's good to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Got any more good ideas, get in touch. Time for a brand new Great British giveaway now, and your chance to get summer sorted with a luxury £10,000 holiday for 2 and 30 grand in tax-free cash on top of it. Here's how to take part.
This year, the adventure of a lifetime could be on us. Courtesy of Riviera Travel, there's a terrific £10,000 holiday for 2 to be won. You could be here exploring the magic of Egypt on a Nile River cruise, or choose from over 30 worldwide destinations like Thailand, South Africa, New Zealand, or even Sri Lanka. And because they have over 40 years' experience with handcrafted tours, you'll be safe in the knowledge that every step of the journey will be planned with you in mind. We'll also boost your bank account with a fabulous £30,000 in tax-free cash, which you'll be able to spend however you like this year. So what are you waiting for?
For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB19, PO Box 8690, Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 27th of February. The winner may be contacted live after all entry routes are closed. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yeah, best of luck with that. Now, still to come, apparently Luke Littler has asked his hero Wayne Rooney for advice. Find out why next. The Sport with Aidan McGee.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Time for the sport now. Here's Aidan. Right, well, obviously tennis is going on.
Absolutely. Novak Djokovic standing on the edge of history. He could make it 25 Grand Slams today, but he's got the small matter of the world number one, Carlos Alcaraz, standing in his way. But if he does it, I think we'd have to include him in the conversation when we talk about the greatest sportsman or sports people of all time.
And they're both under a lot of pressure because obviously Djokovic wants to win for his record number of titles. But Alcaraz is only 22, and if he wins, doesn't he become the youngest man of all time to complete the career Grand Slam?
So all four, that's a hell of an achievement. That really is. That beats even Djokovic himself. I mean, he
so
did
they're
it.
both.
Nadal, Federer did it. I mean, you're in exalted company there, but at 22 years old, I mean, Sinner's not far off it. I think he's won 3 of the 4. But he wasn't. I think the French is the only one. Sinner hasn't won. But for Alcaraz to do that at 22,
so they're both under unbelievable pressure.
Yeah, well, I think Alcaraz will be comfortable because I think everyone's talking about Djokovic, and he has struggled with Djokovic, not least last year at the Australian Open in the quarterfinals. Although he did beat him at the US, but he struggled with him at the Olympic final as well in Paris in 2024. So it's quite an even contest. But Barry Cowan touched on a good point earlier on. He said that the conditioning between an 38-year-old man and a 22-year-old player might come to bear on the day. But the heat...
So, I mean, Djokovic is going to want to get this over as quickly as possible.
Yeah, he may
Doesn't want it to go to a 5-setter.
He may do what Federer used to do at the end of his career, try and shorten the points. Yeah. He doesn't want to get involved in a slugfest at the back of the court. So we'll see how it plays out, but it's going to be mightily exciting. And don't bet against it going to 5 sets either.
Oh, I hope it's not. No, I hope they do last it out all the way.
It'd be good. Yeah. Must touch on Luke Littler as well, because he was in action in Milton Keynes just a day or so ago, and he's kind of... I think the boo boys are getting on his back, really, but when it's booing, it doesn't sound like the traditional
Why is he booed?
Well, because I think it's nothing nasty. It's just that they don't want him winning everything all the time in every event.
Is it booze or is it Is it Luke?
No,
you know,
no,
is
it's
it,
not. No,
no,
I don't
are you
think it's
sure?
booze, but it's playful. It's kind of, you know,
Yeah.
we don't want the same person winning it all the time. It's great for the sport because you can need an outstanding. Yeah, every sport needs somebody who's outstanding or out there, but they don't. Even then, they're there to be shot at.
So
You
is
don't want
this,
them.
is this what he's been speaking to
Yes.
Wayne Rooney about, how to handle the booze?
Wayne Rooney, I remember in World Cup 2010, they played a game against Slovakia, I think, or maybe, no, it was USA, I think it was, in the World Cup, and they were booed. He was booed by his own supporters. It wasn't him personally, it was the whole team, but as he was coming off the pitch, he actually said down to the camera, down the barrel of the camera, he said, isn't it nice being booed by our own fans? So I think that's kind of what he's kind of alluding to, Luke Little. He's being booed by his own fans. But it's not. It's not. It's just, they just want competition, and we want competition. I think it's more playful than anything he needs to be worried about.
So on the issue of Luke Littler, our producer tells us that she believes Luke Littler looks very much like Wes Streeting.
Should we have a look?
We've got a comparison.
Oh, I don't know. I could see that. I thought it was ludicrous when you mentioned it a couple of minutes ago, but I can catch him in the right light.
Yeah.
I can see him. Just a slight change of the hairstyle.
I'm not sure who'd be most offended or who'd be most flattered by the comparison.
2 a.m. in the morning, you know, pitch black street after you've had a few pints, and you could maybe mistake them.
Yeah, possibly. Just a very quick dash of information on the football. The Arsenal went to Leeds yesterday, 1-4-0. Man City have to try and do their bit today by beating Tottenham at White Hart.
And Bournemouth won. Well done, Bournemouth.
Bournemouth won 2-0 at Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Excellent.
Great. Thank you
Good to
very
see you
much
this
indeed,
weekend.
Dylan. Cheers.
Yeah, absolutely. Do stay with us. Still to come, the biggest UK taxpayers are revealed, with many of the entries paying at least £100 million each. Wow, how much must you have to earn to pay that in tax? That's in the papers with Emma Wolfe and Duncan Barks. First of all, though, if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's where to go for it.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello. Well, we have a south-shifted jet stream that's just bringing areas of low pressure across Europe, so it is unsettled. We've got spells of rain, more so across Portugal and into Spain and into France. Across the Mediterranean, we are also seeing some heavy spells of rain and thunderstorms, but also some strong winds, so expect some rough seas here. Otherwise, there's going to be further showers on the cards. There will be some brightness in between, though.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
You can see, for some bizarre reason, we've been here all morning at the 1B tap here in Great Harwood, but now they've trusted me to come behind the bar. Now, we are, as promised, going to have a go at pulling a pint. It's my first ever time pulling a cask ale pint, so don't judge me too harshly. But, of course, a pint of beer or lager is such a staple image. When we think of a pub, we think of a pint, don't we? This is Kelly, who is the landlady here at the 1B tap. Now, to demonstrate the pint, I'm going to give it a pull. But while I'm doing so, I'm going to pass you the microphone. I want you to tell our viewers at home and Dawn in the studio about all the things that we might not think about when we think about a pint of beer, all the things that go into running a pub like this one. So I'll hand you the microphone. You tell us while I have a go at this. Don't judge me too harshly, Dawn.
Amazing. So obviously people don't take into effect that the energy costs and the raw material costs, also the packaging, overheads and the tax hikes. So when we're pulling a pint of beer, we have to think about the cost that's gone into making the beer and the rises in that. We also have to think about the overheads, the staff, the electrics which are plumbed in to pour in a pint. This obviously is very astronomical to pubs, because if it increases, we're therefore going to have to put that onto the consumer, making the pint of beer more expensive.
Now, I'll take that back from you. I think we can see now. Some people at home might think that's not a very good pint, but you've told me, because it's cask ale, that this is slowly going to work up. Everyone in the pub's having a good look at this now. I'm hearing in my ear, I'm being told it's not bad, that, so I'll take it from my first time. Now, it's a difficult time for pubs, this. As you were mentioning there, all of these overhead costs that you've got.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Right, we are going to look through the papers now. We've got Duncan and Emma with us. And where are we going to start? I wanted to start with the biggest taxpayers.
Oh.
In the Sunday Times, the 2026 tax list has been revealed.
Yeah.
And it's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable, and these are the people who are funding much of the spending that this government is currently hell-bent on forking out. So its 100 biggest taxpayers have contributed a combined £5.7 billion a year to the Treasury. And there's some really interesting names in here, some names that people may or may not be aware of. The guys behind Betfred, a couple of brothers, they're top of the list.
I didn't know there were brothers in Betfred.
Contributing more than £400 million to the public finances.
My goodness.
In the last year, you've got Sir Tim Martin, the chap behind Wetherspoons.
Yeah.
He's on the list as well. Sir
Gambling,
James
pubs.
Yeah.
Books, may I mention?
Yes, go on.
J.K. Rowling is giving a staggering £130,000 a day.
Yeah.
A day. That's from being a writer. Says the writer who doesn't make £130,000 a day. And she's brought, we were talking about Harry Potter, she's brought so much joy and pleasure to children and adults as well. And she's a brilliant woman, but that is a lot of money going into the exchequer.
And it just shows you then how valuable these super rich people are to this economy, and yet you constantly hear tax them more, we need to tax them more.
Well, we have this government approach, don't we, which is just like those who are already paying vast amounts of tax, let's squeeze them even harder to see if we can get more money out of them.
The politics of envy is rife and well with our socialists,
and the problem with that is, if it's an entrepreneur, if it's someone like Sir Tim Martin who employs a lot of people, at some point there will be a tipping point where he just goes, this is too much. So it's a really interesting set of figures and results here.
Who else? Go on, give us a couple of other names.
Lots of them are kind of footballers and things that we haven't, that Aidan would be able to tell you more about, but they're giving a lot.
Harry Styles is a new entry into the chart, if you like.
See what you did.
Top 40? Top 100. So he's gone into the chart. He's about to release his 4th studio album. He earned more than £51.8 million from his touring and merchandise.
My goodness.
So he pays 45% tax on that. That's a big old chunk to the Treasury.
Lots of entrepreneurs who've made lots from baby milk, teaching aids and stair lifts.
Stair lifts?
Oh, dear. Well, these are the things that we'll all need at the beginning and end of our lives, I suppose.
Absolutely. And 14 of the entries are responsible for at least £100 million worth of tax each. So, you know, while some people may resent their success and their personal wealth, they are paying a lot.
They are, and fair play to them, because, you know, different personalities, different characters will go, do you know what, increasingly the climate here in Britain is not particularly supportive of entrepreneurs. I'm out of here. So fair play to those who remain here.
And it makes me think of your interview, and it actually links to the Sunday Express story I chose about going out twice a week, has now switched to going out just twice a month. But you were talking to a hairdresser, a hair salon owner, who was talking about the death of the high streets, the pressures, the economic pressures on small businesses up and down the country. There's a lovely quote in that, from a pub owner who's been talking about this in the Express. He says, back in the old days, the first thing you did when you finished work was go down the pub. Now you can't even find a pub that's open.
Yep.
And it's true. Back in the day, after work, people would often say, is anyone going for a drink? Is anyone going for a drink? Didn't need to be, excessive drinking, but now people cannot afford once or twice a week, maybe going for a drink, going for a meal, getting a takeaway, has become once or twice a month because people simply cannot afford it.
And it's particularly poignant today because alcohol duty goes up on the 1st of Feb. So if you decide later to go out for a Sunday afternoon glass of wine or a pint somewhere, there's a good chance you'll find that you're paying a bit more than you did yesterday.
Yeah. What's Angela Rippon been saying?
Angela Rippon, national treasure, has talked about the days of news bulletins when you used to always end on we all know about this, a light story, finally. And she says there's a lot of doom and gloom in the world, from earthquakes to famine to wars. We should bring back I don't know, it's a British tradition, but we should bring back the idea there's an and finally. Yes. Very light-hearted. I say more pictures of dogs at the end of TV.
Well, always helpful, But I think she's right in that the news can be one long litany of depressing stories.
Was it Martin Lewis, a former BBC newsreader, who said we need to have more light stories in bulletins?
He wanted to start a good news channel.
Yes.
And it didn't work.
No, well, who is going to... I'm sorry, It's nice to get a little bit of light and shade.
Contrast,
More and more people that I know, who are intelligent, kind of connected people who are engaged with the world and want to know what's happening, just are saying to me now, I just don't watch the news anymore. Don't watch the news. It just seems to be one really, really bad news story after another very worrying news story after another disaster. Politics is, we can't respect
anyone. Now, is that the fault of 24-hour news, or is it that we are going through bad times at the moment?
It's really hard to know.
It's a combination of both, isn't it?
I also don't believe it, because any time there is a horrible story like that, the audience figures just absolutely rocket. There is a real appetite to just get news. If it's a serious and important news event, people want to watch it.
Yeah, and I think it's never been more available. That's the difference. We have if you like, a slightly depressing and gloomy news agenda, but there was a time when you could shield yourself from it properly. But now, even if you're on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, unless you're really diligent with what you're following and set up your preferences in a certain way, you'll be scrolling and you will be exposed to stuff. It's never been. It's never
well, that's
been
the thing.
easier.
There are algorithms that will feed you. If they sense that you are reading about certain stories that are very depressing, they'll just feed you more depressing stories, wouldn't they?
Equally, if you look at pictures of Labrador puppies, you'll get more pictures of Labrador puppies.
Well, maybe that's what we have to make a...
Is that why I've got lots of pictures of cats?
Yes, it will be.
And yet some news stories aren't, they're not clickbait at all. No. I mean, look what's happening in Iran, and there's been very little coverage of that. People have got bored of or tired of media fatigue about Ukraine. People are going through a desperate winter there, minus 20 degrees. So, yes, there is. It is that people sort of, it gets
Well,
the
you need
audience
variety,
in.
don't you?
You need variety, of course.
But I too, like you, come across hardened journalists who say they can't watch the news anymore.
Yeah.
And it's just because at the end of the day we're all human, and you can.
I think you can only take so much.
You can only take so much.
Shall we bring a little bit of light into that?
Oh, you're all going to start dancing like Angela Rippon now.
Yeah.
We can talk about the British Sumo contest.
I'm delighted with this story because I think I might have found a new career. So this is an event that took place yesterday at Ulster University Sports Centre. It was attended by 200 people, only £5 a ticket, which is a bit of a bargain by anyone's estimations. And it's all about the growing interest in this country of sumo wrestling. Now, you can only be a proper sumo professional if you compete in Japan. However, there's this scene that's coming through in the United Kingdom, and we learned that a while ago there were only 3 or 4 clubs. Now there's 15 to 20 clubs around the United Kingdom, and they're saying it's really good. You get people from all walks of life who turn up and basically wrestle.
I'm going to launch into my tirade against obesity. I mean, is this a consequence of growing obesity in this country?
Well, it could be.
What do you mean there's more sumo? Isn't that the point?
It could be, but there's an argument here for some people. It's good for their mental health. It gives them a focus, and you have to train. You have to be relatively fit. You might be a big old fella.
Yeah, but they do actually go for it.
Do you have to be a big old fella, though?
You don't get slim suited.
I wouldn't step into a sumo
But this
ring.
is something that specifically says you've got to be over 18 stone.
But you still, but you still have to be relatively fit. You can't be out of condition. You need to be able to have the muscles and the strength to pick up some bloke who's 18, 20 stone and chuck him somewhere and wrestle with him.
Are there photos? Did they wear the traditional garb?
They're like nappies, aren't they?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Did they wear that in Ulster?
Apparently, one of the big names in sumo wrestling in Britain is a guy called Haystacks, and there used to be a wrestler called Giant
Haystacks
and
every
Big
Saturday
Daddy.
lunchtime. Do you remember?
He was up against Big Daddy.
The wrestling always used to be on a Saturday afternoon,
It was Big Daddy his real name was Shirley Crabtree.
That was it.
And I forget who Giant Haystacks was.
Yeah, absolutely. Wouldn't you learn to be a wrestler if your name?
I remember
if you were
Big Daddy.
a fellow with a name like Shirley?
It was all showbiz, wasn't it, though?
Yeah.
Well, I think so. Yeah. Is it all with sumo?
I don't think it is. Looking at some of the reports here, I think it's quite serious.
I think they train quite hard in Japan in the traditional kind of sumo schools.
And you have to eat an awful lot to maintain that weight.
What I like about Haystacks here, he talks about getting in shape for it by having a burrito and a pint of Guinness.
Yeah, no fat jabs for them.
No, but one of the, again, famous ones is 6'5" tall, and he weighs 190 kilograms, which is a lot.
They're big chaps.
How many stones is that?
You had to ask, didn't you?
It's
a
about
lot.
5 lots of me.
Yeah, at least, I would have thought. Yeah.
I'm not going to ask you how much is impolite.
So there you are. That's the. So if you're into sumo wrestling, it is getting very big in Britain.
Northern Ireland.
Yes. Well, I think everywhere.
It is everywhere.
I seem to remember there was one of the party political things they had to clear out of the thing because sumo wrestling was on the next day.
Oh, right.
Might have been the NEC in Birmingham.
I'm going to complain to my son's primary school. Why are they not offering sumo?
Oh no, please. Thank you so much for being with us today. Shall we catch up with the weather now?
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your GB News weather update brought to you by the Met Office. Well, to start the new month, it's cloudy. We've got further spells of rain, but perhaps some brighter interludes coming in to the far west later. On the whole, though, it's a cloudy picture out there with outbreaks of rain. We just need to keep mind of some outbreaks of rain towards the southwest. That's giving us some uncertainty today. Otherwise, a band of rain across Northern Ireland will continue to push its way eastwards into northern parts of England, southern Scotland, into Wales and eventually into the Midlands. Brighter and drier behind that across Northern Ireland with glimmers of sunshine across the far southwest of Wales and Devon and Cornwall. Otherwise, the temperatures will be around average for the time of year. Now, across Scotland this evening, we hold on to a good deal of cloud with outbreaks of rain, most persistent across Orkney and Shetland in that southeasterly breeze, but drier across Northern Ireland to end Sunday evening. Again, likewise across the far southwest of Wales and into Devon and Cornwall, but for the most part across England, especially across the southeast, we hold on to plenty of rain. So a damp end to the weekend here, further spells of rain just persisting, especially across Orkney and Shetland. Clearer skies across Northern Ireland and the far west. That'll allow temperatures to fall to give icy stretches, frost and perhaps some mist and fog. So a chilly start to Monday here. Elsewhere, temperatures still generally above freezing to start Monday morning. So as we go through Monday, well, it's again a messy picture out there. We've got further spells of rain, more so later on across the southwest, where a yellow Met Office rain warning does come into force. Otherwise, showers most persistent across northern England and especially towards the northeast. Again, falling wintry at higher levels, especially across the northeast of Scotland. Otherwise, temperatures around average.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
This year, the adventure of a lifetime could be on us. Courtesy of Riviera Travel, there's a terrific £10,000 holiday for two to be won. Choose from over 30 worldwide destinations like Thailand, South Africa, New Zealand or even Sri Lanka. We'll also boost your bank account with a fabulous £30,000 in tax-free cash.
For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 3225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB19 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 27th of February. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Oh, a bit like Captain Mainwaring.
Yeah, exactly.
Year after the war. But no, seriously, you was in the paratroop regiment for 17 years. I think it was, and an officer as well.
I was, yeah.
What made you go into paras?
It's quite a long story, but I was at university. I joined the TA, the Territorials, or the Officer Training Corps, and there was 2 para fellas there, and I had no plans to join the army. And they were an epitome of what the paras are all about. And I'd said, well, I'll go down and see what it's like.
What are they all about, the paras?
Well, they do what they say on the tin. They're hard charging.
Yeah.
If you're going to jump out that door, you want someone with a bit of bravery and...
well, one of my neighbours is he wasn't a para. Rick, if you're watching, I'm sure you are. It's Friday night. Rick Portas. I think he was in 2 para. He's a bit
the name rings a bell, actually.
Yeah, he rings a bell. He's a bit of a wiry character, but you wouldn't want to mess with him.
Well, quite. But I mean, they've also got massive hearts.
Yeah.
So they're, but they've got their values and don't stamp on their values.
What about the training then? I suppose when you make that first jump, I mean, I cannot imagine jumping out of an aeroplane. I mean, you've got to be nuts to do that, haven't you?
You've got to be completely nuts. Unlike sport parachuting, the lowest height, the highest height, I should say, is 800 feet. The parachute is designed to jump out at 200 feet. And at that level, if something goes wrong, you ain't got time to react. You jump at night, 9 times out of 10. You've got 80 other people plus in the same airspace as you. And you're carrying £100 worth of equipment. So if something goes wrong, you've got no control of your parachute, so you just got to accept that landing, or if you bump into somebody in the airspace, you've got problems.
Have you done that before?
Bump into someone? Yeah, I did it when I jumped into the Ukraine.
GB News, the People's Channel.
And a very good morning to you. It's 9 o'clock, and welcome, of course, to Good Morning here on GB News. Do I mean that? Good morning.
GB News Breakfast.
That's it. Thank you very much. I was going back like 35 years or something there. Anyway, former Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner is said to be on manoeuvres.
That's as reports suggest she secured £1 million backing to fight for the keys to number 10.
With rumours Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham and Health Secretary Wes Streeting also have their eyes set on the prize, is the Prime Minister becoming increasingly irrelevant?
Also on the programme, a second Epstein victim comes forward with a claim she spent a night with Andrew Mountbatten Windsor in Royal Lodge back in 2010. On Air Force One a short while ago, when asked if he would sue Epstein's estate, this is what President Trump said.
Yes, so, because he was conspiring with Wolf to do harm to me politically. That's not a friend.
Well, protests are held in Braintree against migrants housed in a local RAF base after a resident shared footage that he claims exposes how the accommodation site is leaving residents feeling unsafe.
And East Sussex residents are preparing to protest again today after the government began moving the first of almost 600 illegal male migrants into a former military site in Crowborough.
Yes, I'm in Crowborough, where despite the weather, thousands of residents are expected to take to the streets this morning in yet another protest against the use of this military camp as asylum accommodation.
After a wet January, there's further rain on the cards as we head into the new month. I'll have all of the details coming up shortly.
It's just gone 9 o'clock. I'm Anne Diamond.
And I'm Mark White. This is GB News Breakfast.
I just have a senior moment, I think.
Well,
this is Good Morning.
I have them regularly.
Yes, that's right. It's funny how you can just go into that sort of autopilot.
Yeah, if I start talking
what programme am I presenting right now?
If I start talking about North Tonight on Grampian TV...
Oh, that would be something.
I'm definitely having a senior
You used to present North Tonight?
Yeah, back
on
in
Grampian,
the day.
wow.
Yeah. 7 years I did that, 1992, I think, till 99. When I then came down to London to make my fortune.
Oh, absolutely. I used to present ATV Today in the Midlands. Those were the days too.
Regional TV in the day, I mean, that was something else.
It was brilliant. We used to be in the
regional
studio that Tiswas was done out of the next morning. Does Tiswas mean anything to you?
It does, absolutely. Remember it very well.
So you'd be reading the news in the evening, and then suddenly when you get to the end, you'd say, thank you very much, good night, which would be about 7-ish, 7:30. Suddenly, the entire crew would move in and just take away the desk, take away the chairs, everything like that, and start erecting the Tiswas studio.
Wonderful.
And it would be full of custard pies and everything the next morning. Those were the days.
And that's the days, you know, in those days they got about a 60% reach for the regional news. So
regional news was
60% of people watching TV would be watching the regional news. Now, of course, they're watching us because this is the incredible new venture into news.
True. Now, what's today's top story? Well, certainly everybody's talking about it. Labour infighting. It's heating up with the former Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner allegedly securing £1 million backing in her bid to oust Sir Keir Starmer.
Well, the former deputy leader was forced to resign from the cabinet 5 months ago over her underpayment of stamp duty. And allies now say she's ready to take the top job.
She says she doesn't want to hand the keys to number 10 to Nigel Farage. She made that point. Let's talk to Camila Tominey, who joins us now from the Westminster studio. Morning, Camila.
Morning, Camila.
There's a lot going on behind the scenes in the Labour government, isn't there?
There is. Isn't there always a lot going on? I'll be discussing this with the Housing Secretary, Steve Reed. Angela Rayner set up a new limited company, the Office of Angela Rayner, which is apparently borrowed from the Tony Blair School of Fundraising. He had a similarly titled limited company when he was trying to build a war chest for his own Labour leadership. And I think this is intriguing because we know that Wes Streeting is on manoeuvres. There were revelations to the New Statesman not that long ago that Mr Streeting wasn't plotting a leadership challenge, but he was planning one. We know that Andy Burnham's initial attempts have been thwarted, but I wouldn't write off the Mayor of Manchester yet. And, of course, we now have Ms Rayner, who is planning a comeback. I note that as well as this reporting in the Mail on Sunday about this £1 million war chest, she was also quite happy to be photographed. She's in the Sun on Sunday today as well, hand in hand with her boyfriend Sam Tarry. So it looks as if she is trying to relaunch her career. And what's interesting about this is that we know the membership leans left. Therefore, if she was in any two-way race with a more right-wing competitor, for instance, Wes Streeting, then the voting system would favour her. So all to play for. Keir Starmer returns from China, where he likes to never be here, Keir. I think he likes to escape domestic problems by jetting around the world. So he comes back from China to yet more question marks over how long his premiership will last. Some people thinking, Rosie Duffield, the former Labour MP, now an independent, that it won't last beyond the May elections. So we'll have to wait and see. So I'll be asking Steve Reed all about that. But also the Epstein revelations are interesting. The Prime Minister's calling for the Duke of York to give evidence. OK, fair enough. But why shouldn't Peter Mandelson also give evidence on that basis? He's named in the papers. There's a photograph of him in his underpants. Apparently Epstein gave thousands of pounds to his partner. So I'm not sure why it's just Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor that should be giving evidence about Epstein's crimes. Surely Lord Mandelson should also give evidence, and it does raise questions about why he remains a Labour peer, doesn't it?
Well, I suppose we always have to repeat the mantra that just because you are in the Epstein files or in the documents or in the photographs doesn't mean, at least we haven't seen, doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong. And so it becomes very difficult to sort of insist on Lord Mandelson being put before, I don't know, some sort of FBI investigation or even the former Prince Andrew. That nothing seems to have been proven in any way.
Well, nothing has ever been proven. I mean, although he's been found guilty in the court of, human opinion, as you say, the Andrew, formerly known as Prince, has never been found guilty in a court of law of anything, albeit how compromising are some of those photographs, some of the allegations that have been made by key individuals. The other interesting part of this morning's reporting, and I'm going to be speaking to the US journalist Chapman Bell on the show about all this, is this suggestion that Epstein's not just linked to the Russians, but also may have been a covert Mossad agent. So we'll get into this. And also, on the subject of China, I'm going to be speaking to Sebastian Lai, Jimmy Lai's son, to find out what he makes of the Prime Minister's visit. Jimmy Lai is the British Hong Kong businessman. He's not got dual citizenship. He is a British businessman who's been in solitary confinement since 2020 because, shock horror, he published a newspaper which happened to be critical of the communist regime. I'm wondering what Sebastian makes of the Prime Minister being in China. We didn't get any guarantees that Keir Starmer raised his father's case.
At all. No.
And I find that staggering. You know, the Telegraph has done a lot of reporting this week about him acting as a human rights lawyer against British troops. He's spent his entire life talking about his close adherence to human rights, and yet goes out to a country where, let's be honest, human rights aren't really respected very highly.
But they all do, don't they? I mean, as they've pointed out, President Trump's meant to be going 3 times in the next few months.
Well, and also this is all meant to be about trade, but of course, I mean, we import far more from China than we'll ever export. I'm sure Steve Reid will start talking about whiskey sales, but the trade deficit is £46 billion. The other great guests we've got on, we've got Chris Philp from the Shadow Home Secretary, who's going to be leaning into, no doubt, trying to out Farage on immigration. And then, speaking of the Nigel, we're also going to be speaking to Andrew Rossendale, Reform's latest defector.
Right.
Great. Sounds like a fantastic show.
Very busy show.
We'll be tuned in at past. Thank you, Camilla.
Thank you. So that's a bit later on, about 23 minutes past 9. Now, hundreds of people gathered near Braintree yesterday in protest against an RAF airbase being used to house 800 migrants.
Well, angry residents say they feel unsafe after CCTV footage shared exclusively with GB News revealed one man appearing to break an 11 p.m. curfew.
Well, yesterday, GB News presenter Alex Armstrong spoke to local residents.
We've had them at 5:30 in the morning down our lane. We're down a private lane. We've had them 5:30 in the morning. I've had one random guy wandering around in the yard at like midnight.
These people here protesting today against the migrants who've moved into the base up the road at RS Wethersfield. What do you think of that?
I agree.
Yeah.
Like, even if they want to walk to their friend's house for a sleepover or anything, it's like, no. Just no, not anymore.
Well, they're not happy, are they? Would anybody? Joining us now is former Immigration Minister Kevin Foster. And Kevin, isn't that the problem? I mean, as I was saying earlier, one of our viewers got in touch and said it's not that we don't want them in hotels, it's not that we don't want them in houses of multiple occupancy, it's not that we don't want them in former RAF bases, we just don't want them. And it then becomes a very difficult problem because they're here.
Yeah, that's the point. People don't want asylum accommodation in their local communities. And sometimes this debate has got far too focused on, well, people don't want asylum hotels, without actually saying, well, unless we're actually removing people, what is the alternative? And in most cases, that's housing in communities in the form of houses in multiple occupation, or looking at large-scale accommodation centres. Now, large-scale accommodation centres do have a role in a proper strategy to deal with this problem, i.e. you look at what Greece has done, where they have big place centres, they're actually relatively secure, even though people aren't detained in them, and then you process people quickly with a view to then removing them if they fail. And that's the bit that's missing here, is having a really effective system of removals for small boat migrants, because often the government will quote the overall removals, but the vast majority of those people are people who've either overstayed visas or from countries like Brazil, which clearly are not part of the small boats problem.
Clearly, as a former immigration minister, you've got insight into this. Why are ministers so reluctant to go down the route of providing a more secure environment that stops these migrants from leaving these accommodation centres, if that's a road they want to go down? And what are the obstacles that would be an impediment to doing that? I know that the human rights activists will, of course, be very concerned about it, but surely on the grounds of potential safety issues, it's perfectly legitimate.
Yeah, so you'd have to change the law, although, the government's got a big enough majority if it wished to change the law, though whether it could get backbenchers on board for that is another matter, to allow detention for a longer period. At the moment, you can detain people if there's either a direct risk, i.e. they're a serious criminal who you're about to remove, or there's someone you're imminent to remove from the country to stop them absconding. But yes, you could look at more secure centres. But for example, I rejected Crowborough because I couldn't see Crowborough being a site where you had any realistic prospect of securing it. Because remember, a lot of military bases were designed to keep people out, not keep people in. And actually, to stop someone breaking out is quite a challenge. Just putting up a sign that says, you can't leave this base is clearly not going to be very effective, or just having a small wire fence that pretty much anyone who's reasonably fit could climb over, again, is not going to be effective. So you do see a much bigger cost for providing secure accommodation, and also you need to look at suitable sites. So it's why, for example, we tended more towards the Greek model of a larger centre, perhaps on an old airbase, perhaps more distant from where people were actually living, rather than somewhere in the middle of a town that's got a fairly porous border, or unless you'd put a lot of money into it to build walls and everything, you couldn't actually keep people in.
Yeah, that's a big problem, as we said earlier. Kevin, thanks very much indeed for being with us this morning.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you. 13 minutes past 9. I think time for a brand new Great British giveaway. This should cheer you up. A luxury £10,000 holiday for 2 if you win it, plus 30 grand in tax-free cash. Here's how to take part.
This year, the adventure of a lifetime could be on us. Courtesy of Riviera Travel, there's a terrific £10,000 holiday for 2 to be won. You could be here exploring the magic of Egypt on a Nile River cruise. Or choose from over 30 worldwide destinations like Thailand, South Africa, New Zealand or even Sri Lanka. And because they have over 40 years experience with handcrafted tours, you'll be safe in the knowledge that every step of the journey will be planned with you in mind. We'll also boost your bank account with a fabulous £30,000 in tax-free cash, which you'll be able to spend however you like this year. So what are you waiting for?
For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB19, PO Box 8690, Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 27th of February. The winner may be contacted live after all entry routes are closed. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
And talking of Crowborough, which we were earlier with Kevin Foster, our reporter Isabel Fekulak is down there at the moment. She was being poured upon earlier. The rain was terrible. I don't know how it is at the moment. Isabel, take it away.
Yes, still very bad weather here, but in just a moment I'm going to be talking to a march organiser here to tell us the plan for the protest today, as well as getting the feelings from local residents. But first, here's a break.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Well, we were talking earlier about Crowborough, and that's where you got soaked, I seem to remember last time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It just rained, torrential rain all day long. And of course, as we were doing live reports every hour, I've got a good old soaking. It's gone right into my chest. So I feel for Isabel, who's down there at the moment, and ready to take it away with a couple of live.
Tell us more, Isabel, from under the umbrella.
Yes, morning. Another grim day here, absolutely pouring down, but we're still expecting thousands of residents to take to the streets here, as they have done every week, protesting against the use of this military camp behind me to house up to 600 asylum seekers, of course in an aim for the government to end the use of those expensive asylum hotels. And we know that the first group of asylum seekers have arrived here just last week. So another protest against today. I'm joined now by Gaz, who's organised the march here this morning. Gaz, tell us about the plan for the march today.
It's going to be the normal plan. We'll leave here around 10:30 and we'll do just over a mile walk up through the town. We'll stop off in the high street. We'll make our voices heard, and then we move on to the local village green, where we'll have speakers and engage with everybody, answer any questions anyone's got, but just everyone being out in support for this mess that we're actually all in now.
And I can see at the front as we walk in, there's signs there saying Crowborough says no. I mean, is that the main message that you're looking to display in this march?
Absolutely. The town is absolutely sick and tired of being cast aside, whether it's by government or whether it's by the local councillors. This is not suitable. This is not what the townspeople want. It's not what their families want. Everyone is absolutely petrified of their family's safety in this town, and it's got to stop. It's got to stop now.
And week in, week out, people have been showing up. I mean, what do you think to the town all standing together and fighting for this?
Obviously, I'm a local person, so when this all started, it became quite an emotional thing, because there's a lot of people that come out that you don't see on a day-to-day basis. You know, you don't say hello, and now everyone's talking to each other, and it's a real community spirit, all fighting for the same cause.
Brilliant, thanks Gaz. And I'm just going to come over here as well to Dave Williams, who's a resident here. Dave, you live just next to the camp here. How are you feeling now, knowing that some men have already arrived and that more will come?
Well, I think we've got around about 50 migrants in the camp now, so it's not really started. It's already very oppressive here, and we're being told to expect imminently a lot more. So I think it's going to wind up, and I think they're going to start walking down this road, and I think that's when the problem's going to start.
and you have co-founded what's called the Crowborough Patrol Group, which is intended to increase some security for the town. Tell me a bit about that and what you hope it's going to be able to do.
I think it's a brilliant thing. We've got local residents that are volunteering to be a presence within the town to give people a sense of security when they're going about their business. We've got a Facebook page, we've got a crowdfunder, so any of your viewers would like to help us get that up and running and help the local community, that would be much appreciated. But yeah, all the volunteers in the town to help people feel a bit secure.
All right, brilliant. Thanks, Dave. So we'll see thousands on the streets today. We'll be with them throughout the day, hearing more about how people feel on this protest against the use of this camp as asylum accommodation.
Jolly good. Thanks very much, Isabel. Stay as dry as you possibly can. Before we say goodbye, we've got some more doggy and catty photographs for you.
Yeah, Dave shared this image with us. Darcy, the golden retriever, and Max, the spaniel, in a tangle in St Albans.
And then Julie sent us this photo of Dandy, Dixie and Dolly. You can't tell them apart from the rug that they're, or the sofa that they're on.
Now, Teresa has sent us this, my beautiful dog Elton John, my best friend.
He does look very similar. And Vanya has sent in this picture of Bonnie. She says Bonnie is our rescue dog. From Dogs for Rescue in Salford, Bonnie, along with her sister, was found abandoned in a flat. Well, now she's clearly found her forever home. Thank you so much for sending us those lovely pictures. It means we can end the programme on a happier note.
Good morning.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your GB News weather update brought to you by the Met Office. Well, to start the new month, it's cloudy. We've got further spells of rain, but perhaps some brighter interludes coming in to the far west later. On the whole, though, it's a cloudy picture out there with outbreaks of rain. We just need to keep mind of some outbreaks of rain towards the southwest. That's giving us some uncertainty today. Otherwise, a band of rain across Northern Ireland will continue to push its way eastwards into northern parts of England, southern Scotland, into Wales and eventually into the Midlands. Brighter and drier behind that across Northern Ireland with glimmers of sunshine across the far southwest of Wales and Devon and Cornwall. Otherwise, the temperatures will be around average for the time of year. Now, across Scotland this evening, we hold on to a good deal of cloud with outbreaks of rain, most persistent across Orkney and Shetland in that southeasterly breeze, but drier across Northern Ireland to end Sunday evening. Again, like